welcome to the Legit Podcast. This episode is kindly sponsored by Feel Supreme. They've kindly been sponsors for the last number of episodes, and they've got some incredible supplements and health products. I'm currently taking the CBD 500 milligram. It's amazing. I can't say and stress how much it's helped me with sleep, which is a massive big problem for me. But they've got a number of different supplements as well that they want to push. Vitamin C, D3, vitamin D is obviously brilliant to help with immunity at the moment, which is certainly a topical area, if you like. So if you go to the link which we've included below, which is feelsupreme.co.uk/legit, you can purchase all of their products through that link. And please make sure you go and click through that link, because it basically shows that we have sent you, the Legit Podcast has sent you. So again, massive thanks to Feel Supreme. Huge amount of different products that they've got on offer as well. And like I said, can't stress the CBD enough, and the vitamin D3 as well. So hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you soon. Please don't forget as well to support us on Patreon. Basically, Patreon's like a private members area, if you like, for the Legit Podcast, and it gives you access to all previous episodes. It also gives you early access to all our episodes as soon as we record them, pretty much. And we're also pushing out some more exclusive content that will be only available for people who support us on Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/Legit Podcast, then you can help support the podcast over there. If you do enjoy the episodes that we do, we do one episode per week. Then it's a great way of showing your support for us. You guys have helped us very kindly lease an office space, a studio space, where we're going to be taking the Legit Podcast to the next level, and you can help support us on Patreon. So massive thanks to everyone who's done that as well. Good. Yeah. Right, welcome to the Legit Podcast. This episode of the podcast, really excited because we're joined by our first football agent, which we've never had a football agent, Steven Beck. Thank you very much for coming on, mate.
Oh, listen, thanks for having me on.
Really appreciate it. And I think I've said to you before, I've said over the phone that this whole podcast anyway was set up just to have interesting discussions with like people that we'd never have discussions with, whether a hostage negotiator or anything like that. And so, mate, I'm just really interested about, I think we both are, like
super excited.
And obviously you're a big name. I don't know if you'd say that yourself, but I've seen you on private jets on your Instagram. So.
You've never seen me in the back of a bus on the tube, something like that. I never put them up now.
But mate, you've got. So I think probably the best place to start is you've got like a pretty interesting. How you got into being a football agent is probably, I'd say, maybe it's like the usual way that majority of people get into becoming a football agent is that you were a player before. So what was your history then? Where did you play for at the start, and take us through that?
Do you want to go from the?
You got to say North End or South End first.
South End. Yeah, down from Dingle that way. Yeah, from Dingle. Mum still lives there. Yeah, so from Dingle. Yeah.
Good.
And just massive footy fan then growing up, as most Scousers are.
Yeah, like Liverpool fan growing up. Dad was a Blue. Brothers.
How did that end up then?
Brothers changes like the wind. One, he played for Liverpool. My brother, we started off. I think we were all Evertonians, and my dad was. Liverpool probably doing well. I ended up being a Liverpool fan. Brother went to Everton, back to Liverpool. I think he's Everton now. I don't know what he is at the minute. He keeps changing. So so Liverpool fan, mad football fans as a kid. Just loved playing football. Brought up down Dingle. Down by, it's on you before, but down by Brunswick train station. Mm-hmm. So I used to constantly play football with my mates, and my brother was a footballer. He ended up playing for Liverpool, so I was always playing with his mates as well. There's no like football pitch where I lived. It was like.
Was your brother older than you? Was he?
Brother's 18 months older than me. Yeah.
Just thinking, I always think when players, do well, it's because you're playing with a higher.
Yeah. That would have happened, yeah.
There's always kids in our school who have older brothers, and they were always good. And I'm thinking, how are you getting so good at it? I guess because they're getting
competition. Yeah, of course.
So I would have been playing with like obviously my mates, and then my brother and his mates. So, and then I probably, because I was better than my mates at a young age, I'd end up going with his mates who were 18 months older. So you obviously getting tested a little bit more then and stuff like that. So I was always playing with him, and just loved playing football as a kid. Purely for football reasons. Then now it's a little bit. I know the I know the industry, so it's not the same anymore. It's more business, and I've seen the ugly side of football and different things that go on, the politics and all that behind it. So, but as a kid, I just love football.
I guess you don't know, do you, as obviously as a kid, but there's certain things now, and I've said to people, I always remember saying I might have said this story before, I always remember saying to Alba's mum, my little girl's mum, she started making these little things, like little like I don't know what it's called, like little boxes and little like creative stuff. Anyway, I was like, wow, straight away, just like business head on. I was thinking, wow, you should do an Instagram page and do that. And she was like, listen, it's my little hobby. I don't care. I don't want to mix like work. I don't want to turn it into work. I just want it to be a hobby.
Yeah.
But again, as a kid, you don't think that this could one day be work, and it could be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
At the time, you just like,
this
is a great hobby.
Yeah,
like football.
I just loved it. It was like, so where I lived, there was no football pitch or like astroturf. It was literally like, a painted goal on a wall, or get your coats off and put a, make posts, make a goal. You could be playing on literally like a 20 foot by 40 foot small little pitch. It could be like a 13, 14 aside, but everyone was just like, from the age of like probably 8 to like 14, it varied. Anyone just played, everyone just joined in together.
Yeah.
It was competitive, it was boss, everyone loved it.
What age did you join an academy then?
So it was a little bit late, because I always put it off. My brother was at Liverpool from the age of probably 11. So I would have been like obviously about around 9, 10 when he went to Liverpool's academy. And I was never like obsessed with playing for an academy, where like some kids now and families like, oh, you need to get an academy and they're big on it. I was the opposite. My brother went in there. My brother's quite laid back. He just went in there. He was never he was never obsessed with being a footballer. He was just good enough to play. So when I was playing Sunday League, Liverpool obviously knew who I was, because my brother was there, and the scout that brought Lee to the academy, my brother was always saying to Lee, my dad, bring Stephen up, let's have a look. And I was never that bothered, to be honest. I enjoyed playing Sunday League with my mates. I'm still mates with probably 90% of them now, so I just love playing football with my mates. And then it probably got to around 12 when I started like realising I was a good player. We're getting player of the year, players player of the year, managers player of the year. Probably
one of those annoying kids you just
one of them annoying kids, yeah. Just cleaned up every year. It was like under 10s, 11s, 12s. I still got the trophies in my mum now. But I remember getting like that. So I knew I was like one of the standout players in Sunday League. And then my dad was always getting like pestered by like Blackburn and Everton and Liverpool. And I was like, I'm all right. I just enjoyed playing with mates, winning leagues, and I just enjoyed it. And then I remember my dad saying, Liverpool want you to go in for a week, and Lee's going to be training on that pitch, and I can take you there, so it's easy enough to come up and have a little look. So I said, okay, I'll go and have a little look, see what it's about. Knew what was going on here, because I'd always spoke to my brother about it. And I remember going in, and I just didn't like it. I just didn't like the setup. It was very cliquey with the players that had been there for, even like from like 6, 7 and 8. They all come through together.
Felt very corporate, but it wasn't,
It went for me, and I was like, the coaches were very like, I don't know what the word, like pretentious. They were just, I don't know, there was something, some of them are not like that. I know them now, but at the time I was thinking, that's not for me. So I went there for a week and done okay, and then I can't remember what happened, but I come away from it and said to my dad, I prefer just to play my mates for a little bit longer. And I remember continuing playing till probably the age of, it was probably around 13 when I went back into Liverpool, and I knew at that time that I'd have to sort of like, I'm going to be a footballer. Because I was then thinking, I'm good enough to play for one of these academies. I need to go in. I remember going back into Liverpool, and I was there for a couple of weeks and done quite well. And one of the coaches there, called Mick Doherty, son Sean Doherty, used to play for Everton with me, and Mick's still a scout. I think he's scout of Celtic, and he was at Chelsea before that. But he was my coach at Liverpool, and I remember him pulling my dad saying, "There's a contract coming for Stephen, but I'm leaving Liverpool and going to Everton to be head of recruitment."
Right.
So his job was obviously bringing the best players in the city. So he said, if he just delays it and lets me get in there, I'll bring him to Everton. He'll like it better. And his son was there at the time, Sean. So I remember saying to my dad, well, I'll go and have a look at Everton, because I don't really like it here at Liverpool. I'm not really big on it. So I remember like a couple of weeks went by, I went into Everton, playing in a game, and I remember the game. I was talking to my brother about it. We were laughing about it. I played in a game. Brother played left back. That was his position. I was a midfielder, predominantly right-footed. And when I went into Everton, he said, "Listen, you're going left back." So I was like, left back? I was thinking to myself, obviously you haven't watched me, or they don't know anything about me. But I thought, do you know what? I'll just get in there, play, see what happens. He might move me up to midfield once I get going and get to know me. And the game started and the ball, I remember like in the first couple of minutes, the ball bounced inside like my half. And normally I'd take a touch and bring it down and do something. I don't know if it was because I was nervous or I don't know what I'd done, but I just hit the ball and it flew in the top corner. I remember looking at my dad and brother and my dad, and we were just laughing to ourselves, just like, nobody's running them, like, what the fuck have I just done? So I remember laughing at them, and I remember thinking in the game, well, the worst that's going to come here, I'm definitely getting kept on for a bit longer. Even if I have a nightmare now, I've just scored a fucking unbelievable goal. It was probably never thought I'd score again. Yeah. So I remember that then, and then after the game, they said, listen, you want to keep you in, we're going to offer you a 1-year contract. So signed for Everton, so that was at 13, so that 1-year contract took me to 14.
And if your dad were having 2 brothers, we've asked a few sportsmen we've had on, was he kind of like the Serena Williams dad where he's pushing you, or was he just like, do what you want, boys? No,
he's just dead laid back. He's still like that, my dad now. Just dead supportive. Never put any pressure on us, just, you know, if we weren't footballers, it would have been exactly the same. Even when like I was getting quite, you know, so at one point he had a son who was full-time footballer at Liverpool at 16, and me who was he would have been 17 playing for Liverpool, I would have been 16, so we had 2 sons who were playing for Liverpool and Everton at a good age, not just like babies.
Yeah,
never changed, and he was just the same person. He never got like, you know, he was never different to any of the parents.
In fact, some parents now almost kind of being like seeing the kids as cash cows almost, don't you?
Yeah. Especially if they get a contract like that, when you know, a year's contract, they're thinking, we could be into something here, couldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's got worse from my day. From when I played, it's a different ball game now. Big clubs will literally say to play, you know, I know players now who are at Liverpool and Everton who are not from the city, who've got houses bought for them, cars, families are on the payroll.
Really?
It's that's what you've got. That's not what you've got to do, but that's what these clubs do. To any kid, so all the young players that come from outside of Liverpool, who sign for Liverpool, you know, you've got kids there from London and Manchester.
Sure,
they're only signing, or sometimes they think, because Liverpool might be saying, well, we can give you this, we can give you that. Same with Man United. It happens in all in. It's not just Liverpool. So it was a little bit like that at the time. I remember there a time when I went to the Milk Cup, which is like a big cup competition as a kid, and it's under 15s. And I remember getting played at the tournament for Everton, which is another big thing. Is that I looked at like the history. It's like Joe Cole, Wayne Rooney. It was all like big names you got. And I thought, fucking hell, so I could play the tournament. We got beaten in the final by Manchester City. And I remember leaving. When I left there, I remember West Ham getting my dad's number. We played West Ham in like the quarter final, and I'd done really well against them. And I remember them like, my dad rang me after and said, listen, West Ham have just pulled me, they want to sign you. Now West Ham, them days were like, they brought through like Michael Carrick, Jermaine Defoe, Lampard, it was the elite academy to be at. Like I wouldn't even say it's like Man City or it was better than that. It was just, and it was renowned for just bringing these players through. So Harry Redknapp had rang me dad. So Harry's obviously first team manager, rang me dad saying, listen, we'd love Steven to come down, we like him and this, that and the other. And I was playing for England at the time, under 15, so I was doing really well. I remember my dad saying, what do you think? And I was like, we'd look at it. You know, I was thinking, I've got to leave Liverpool, it's going to be tough, and London, but I thought, let's have a little look at it type of thing. And I remember they made a few offers to me dad, and we were meant to be going down there on like the end of the week, like a Thursday or a Friday. And because I was contracted to Everton at this time, I knew that they'd have to pay money for me. I couldn't just walk out, they had to pay training compensation for me. Yeah. So they'd made an approach to Everton and said, listen, we're coming to you, we're not doing nothing behind your back. We've made an approach to Steven Beck and we're willing to pay money for him. So Everton obviously thinking, you know, we don't want to lose one of our better players. I was playing for England, I was probably one or two of our best players in the team. Wayne Rooney he was younger than me but playing with us, so he was obviously standing out. But I was in like, so I knew he was doing something right, and I knew they wanted to keep me. So I remember saying to my dad, what do you think? He said, listen, we'll go down and meet them. Nothing to lose, go down and meet them. And I remember Everton ringing the house phone. There's no mobiles when I played, ringing the house phone, and I'm sat there like half listening to what was going on. And he said, Everton want to offer you a 5-year contract, so it would have been a 2-year school, what was going on then? So it would have been a 1-year scholarship, so 1-year schoolboy, 1-year scholarship, and a 3-year pro.
So you're 16 at this point?
So I'm 15.
15, sorry, yeah.
That's a big commitment from
this them, was like a 5-year contract at 15, so I'm thinking, okay, so my dad went, and the numbers are this, so what they got offered at the time? So I got like, I was on £1,000 a week. It's like...
At 15?
No, that's 17. But I got offered that. You can see why school never works.
I'm too right, yeah.
15, someone says, as soon as you turn 17, you get £1,000 a week.
No, but
go to the teachers.
£1,000 a week, and I remember getting £100,000 signing on fee, paid annually to me. So now and again, all the deals I do, everyone's got a sign on fee. And if it's £1 million now, you get that paid annually, or whatever it is. So he said it's £100,000 a year. Sorry, £100,000, and you get it paid annually. So I said okay, and he said they need signing tomorrow because they knew he was going to West Ham, and he thought we need to get him on board. Because he goes to West Ham and they do a job on him when he's there. He might not come back. So I said to my dad, "What do you think?" He said, looked at my brother. My brother was like, "Listen, sign. What are you thinking?" I went, "No,
you
West
keep
Ham."
a straight face.
So I was thinking, and then I thought. So the more I thought about it, I mean, now I look back and think, I should have really looked at West Ham because it would have been good. It would have been good for me to get away from Liverpool, I thought.
But mate, at 15,
that's 15. So I was 15, so I was always a nightmare in school anyway. So I thought, well, I mean, money aside, I know I've got a job after school. So whatever, the teachers are telling me, I know I'm leaving school with a job. And not only is it a job, I'm getting £1,000 a week. Now, if you look at when was that? So that was you're talking when was that, 2001 maybe?
Really? Yeah.
£1,000 a week now.
I've done deals recently at Everton. I've got a couple of players now at Everton, 17, 18, and they're only getting £700 a week, £600 a week. Liverpool are only paying players £600 a week. This is we're talking nearly 18 years ago that I was getting £1,000 a week and a sign-on fee. So I remember saying to me, "Dad, listen, let's get it done." I wouldn't be able to keep a straight face. I'd be walking around school every day with the biggest. But I remember that side he was saying to me, "Listen, we've had Michael Branch and we've had Franny Jeffers broke on the scene." He said, "We've never offered this level of money." And at the time, I was doing really well, playing for England. They obviously had high hopes for me at the time, and I knew they didn't want to lose me to West Ham because it would have looked bad. And if I would have went to West Ham and had a career, it was like, how's this lad from Everton left us and end up with them? So I said to me, "Dad, listen, let's get it done." Signed. He actually come to school. The manager at the time was Walter Smith. Remember Walter Smith? He come to our school. So we've got Walter Smith, who's a Scottish legend. I go to St John Allman School in Garston. All my mates were just Scallies. Walter Smith turns up with the head of recruitment on our stage, and he called me out. I've got a shirt. My mum sent me a picture. I've got a picture on my phone. My mum sent me a while ago, me with the shirt, Walter Smith, and the head of recruitment in my school. So a big thing.
It's a belter.
So at the time I'm walking out of school thinking, Conor McGregor, do you know what I mean? I'm made up thinking, okay, everyone knew that I was signing a contract, everyone knew I was going to be on big money and stuff like that. So yes, I knew at 15 I was going to be not only a full-time footballer, but I knew I was going to be
Where's your head at then? Because like you say, you're not just kind of looking at the players that they've got around you and stuff, and they're offering you this type of money. You must know that they've got high hopes for you. Where's your head at there thinking, not to get too big for your boots type thing, is it? Or did you maybe start getting... No,
I thought I was always quite quiet. I'm not a loud person. I was never a loud kid. But I knew I knew playing for England. When I was playing for England, I was starting for England, so I knew I was in the best 11 players in the country. So I knew I didn't just have my own blinkers on. I knew that I was a good player. And I remember our team was a good team. We had Stuart Downing, Darren Bent, Glenn Johnson was our captain with some good players. So I was playing with, every time I camp.
And obviously holding your own with them all.
Playing every game. And I was never ever on the bench. I was always playing in the 11 when I turned up. So it showed that I was, in the best 11 players at my age in that country. And then at Everton, I knew I was probably, I wouldn't say best player, but one or two. There was 2 or 3 good players in our group, called Stephen Schumacher, really good player. He was, assistant manager of Plymouth with Ryan Lowe.
Oh, with Ryan,
yeah, he was a good player. He was the captain of the England team with me. There's a couple of other good players, but I knew they'd seen something different to me. I was an attacking flair player, so I knew that they thought if they get it right with me, I could be anything. I could be worth millions. So that's why they sort of thought, we can't lose him. We'll give him sort of, I say what he wanted. I don't even know whether my dad negotiated with it. Even my dad was sort of my agent at the time.
I was going to ask that. Did you have it? Did you have? I
did later on, but at the time, my dad done it. I don't remember whether obviously my dad was back and forth with them, and the other lad at England, Stephen Schumacher, we knew what he was sort of getting, and I knew I got more than him because of the interest in different things, and Stephen was a big Evertonian, so he probably thought he's not going to go anywhere. He loves the club and his family a big Evertonian. I weren't really like that, so I was sort of not going where the money is, but I was thinking I'll go wherever the opportunity is, type of thing. So they offered me a bit more, and so my dad sort of like looked after me, done the deal. But I never went big time or nothing like that. It didn't change because the problem you have as a young lad, and whether you play for Liverpool, Everton, whatever, you're sort of known as like. So I was known as like Steven Beck, plays for Everton. That's sort of your name, you know. It's certainly in my area, and then in the city, people know who you are and stuff like that. So I didn't go big time. I just sort of like. I made one mistake which I can laugh about now, but it was poor, and I was and even when I'm telling my players now, don't do that. So when I had the money, I always say to my players now, don't buy a silly car, don't buy nothing daft, just keep your head down, don't give them any ammunition. Just even, I've done a couple of deals in the summer. Young kid from not far from lives in Netherton that way, kid called Joseph Geldart. He won't mind me mentioning his name, but I took him to Wigan. I took him from Wigan to Leeds, signed a good contract, and he said, listen, I'm going to get a new car. I said, okay, where you getting them? I'll send some pictures over. As soon as they come to him, I rang him and said, Joe, listen, there's no way you're getting that. He said, no, but I went, listen, I'm telling you, you can't get that. Didn't tell him about my story, but I said, you can't get it. I said, what you've got now is not a nice car. And in the end, it was a little bit of a compromise, and he got like the Q3 or whatever, so he was aiming for something a bit higher than the Q3. I said, no, the compromise is get the Q3. But what I done is, I remember it because when my mum lived down by Dingle, by Sefton Street, when I was like younger, I used to go for like a run most days, and I'd run past all the car showrooms. So now you got Range Rover and all these. I remember running past the Renault garage. So like the Renault garage is still there now, and it used to be the new car had come up, which was Renault Megane convertible. Now it doesn't sound a lot now, but back if you Google that for me, what year was it? Honestly, it sounds awful now. You're probably thinking, no, but listen, what, no, listen, what's this? So type in Renault Megane, 2000 Renault Megane convertible.
Ren A-U-L-T.
Megane convertible. 2000.
I always remember the advert for the Renault Megane was Daddy Cool, wasn't it?
Oh, these are not doing me any justice. These ones.
So
these are mobility cars. These go on Renault Megane convertible and type in 2000. It must have been around that time. 2000. Just type that.
I thought you were quite cool talking to you so far.
Yeah, so we see this.
I'm clicking on that one.
So I had.
Where's the yellow one?
So I had that was my car, that exact one.
Nice.
Honestly, but like 19 years ago, that was shit. That was the car to have.
Sure?
Honestly, so they'd only have you'd had like a BMW convertible, and Mercedes had just brought out I remember like Paul Gascoigne, who was at Everton at the time, they all had them. Michael Ball had the Mercedes convertible, but I was obsessed. I want a convertible.
I remember the little two-seater Mercedes convertible. Yeah, so I think they were
they just come out, but this was like, doesn't look. I'm killing myself here. This was the car to have at the time. But I remember saying to my dad, listen, as soon as I get the money, I'm going to buy that. She was like, you sure? I went, yeah. So I remember going in there with my dad. When I signed my first payday, I ended up with around about 50 grand in my account at 17. This was 20 years ago. But I'd gone from like apprentice money, which was like 70 quid a week, to all of a sudden having this type of money. I remember going in with my dad and bought it cash, paid on my card. So I just went in, paid, it was about 19 grand for it. Just went on my card, typed my pin and got the car, which I shouldn't have done now looking back, because I knew it wouldn't go down well at the club. A 17-year-old kid driving up in a fucking convertible. And what made it worse, again, I'm cringing about this now, is my mate worked at Renault, who sorted the car out, and he said to me, I remember ringing him saying, what's happening with the car? He went, listen, we're doing it now, if you want to come down, we're just sorting the registration out for it. So I said, all right, I'll be down now. So I said, by the way, what is the reg? Because I need to phone my insurance, because my granddad's saying, I didn't even have a licence this time, on my birthday. So I remember he had like a catalogue of registrations. He said, I'm just picking one now. So can I pick one? He went, yeah, whatever one on that sheet, just pick one. It was what's the reg? Y reg. That's how far back we went. It was a Y reg. So I looked at it and I thought, okay, which one should go back? And he was one on like the third or fourth page where it was like Y58 ECK. So I thought, if I get that, move the Y over a little, I've got S Beck here on my reg without actually getting a private plate. So I said to my mate, look, well, I'll have that. Put it on there, so it was like Y over there and then S Beck, so like a private reg on the car. And then I remember going into Belfield at the time, that's where Everton's saying Belfield, and I thought, I'm gonna just park like miles away, so I park like the furthest space away because I thought I don't want anyone seeing me. And I'd done that for a couple of days, and then probably a couple of days later, I remember coming in, and I still parking it round the corner. At one point, I actually parked it outside. Believe it or not, I parked it outside Belfield and walked in because I didn't want anyone to know why I did. I don't know how long I was trying to keep this up for. And then I remember going in one day, and Colin Harvey, who's the academy, it was my academy manager and under 19s manager, was up in the window at Belfield. And I remember him calling me up. So I'm walking in reception, he's called me up, and I thought, I know this over the car. I know what he's going to say here. So I went up there, and then he just bollocked me. He just said, listen, what the fuck are you doing driving that? Who do you think you are? You big time. You haven't played for Everton's first team. You're driving around in a stupid car. You've fucking done nothing and all. And I was like, oh my God, don't just bite your lip. Because I knew I didn't need it as, the bollocking he gave me, but I thought, I've set myself up here. I'll take it on the chin. So just sort of didn't say nothing. Went down anyway. And then looking back, it was a poor decision from me. Because it didn't really...
But mate, what... Not... In your defence a little bit though, what do they expect?
Well, that's what I said. I said, listen, you've given me this money. I don't spend it on nothing else. I'm not going out party, and I've just bought a car. But I mean,
you're not going to be investing in fucking stocks and shares at fucking 17, are you? If you get given 50 grand, you're going to...
And also, at that age, I think you're still under, maybe not, but you're kind of still under that umbrella that, like, your parents are still around you, aren't you?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you were... maybe 2 years, push that a little bit further, like 2 years, then you're more willing to go a bit more mental, I think, because you don't have that umbrella or protection of your parents. Do you know what I mean? Because you're a little bit older, but you're not that.
Yeah.
Fuck me, mate. I would have been a knobhead. I'll tell you right now, I would have been a knobhead. If at 17 I was playing for Liverpool or Everton, I'm fucking 17, 30, I had 50 grand in my arse pocket.
Yeah, it was 50 grand and then £1,000 a week on all my bonuses, and then I was sponsored by Umbro at the time, so they were paying me. So all of a sudden, you're like, I had nothing to my family from like had nothing sort of thing. So I had all this money, and I remember the day I got it. Well, first of all, what I'd done, I was desperate to start driving like anyone at 17. I was thinking, I just want my licence. So when I bought this, I left it outside my nan's house. My granddad was insured, so now and again he was cruising round. Made up, and it briefed down, made up, yeah. But I remember getting a test booked, and it was like, whatever, it was like September. That was the earliest they had for my birthday in June. I kept saying to the girl, listen, any chance I can get it early? So what you can do, if you keep ringing up, you might get a cancellation. So I was every chance I got ringing up. And in the end she went, you know what, there's one tomorrow, if you can do tomorrow. So yeah, whatever time it was. So I rang me driving instructor, I remember rang me driving instructor and said, listen, I've got a test tomorrow. He said, I'm out the country, I can't do it. I said, is there anyone else? He went, there's people up there, but they haven't got the cars. There's only certain amounts of cars. So I said, well, I've got my own car. So he said, well, all right, well, what you've got to do, you've got to get L plate and another mirror, and obviously someone's got to drive you there and be around in case you don't pass and got to drive you back. So me and my granddad drove the test centre in Garston in this. I remember the fella coming out, and I'd never met him before, the driving instructor, and he said to me, where's your car? So I said, that one there. And he went, that's your car? I went, yeah. He said, you can't see out the back because it had a roof that come down, but nowadays the glass, there's glass, that was plastic. It's about that big, the window. So he said, how are you going to do your manoeuvres in this? I went, no, just let that, I'll be all right. So he's looking at me like that. So we sat, he jumped in the seat then, passed me test anyway, and then I always said to my granddad, come on, get going. Drove back down. I remember beeping outside my mum saying to me brother, listen, get in, come on, we're going go and have a drive. And we bought it, we went to Curry's on Edge Lane or Dixon's or whatever. I said, come on, let's spoil me mum. So what, went in and said, listen, we get me mum a telly. They weren't plasmas, they were like the new grey television that had come out, but they weren't as big that way like they are, like my mum's one. And I remember buying it and was saying to the fella, listen, whatever the biggest one is, just get it for me mum. Paid him. He said, what van are you in, or do you want to deliver it? So I said, no, we've got my brother's in the car. We've got a convertible with the roof down. So he comes out, him and two fellas, and he put the telly in the back of the car. And they're not like plasmas now with the dead skinny. He still had a good back on it. So he put it in the car. So me and my brother are driving like from Edge Lane down to Dingle to my mum. There's a big massive telly hanging off the car, beefed, and said, mum, listen, got you the telly. She was made up. Fucking brilliant. Yeah, but yeah, the fucking car.
That's got to be the best things. There was a young lad, like you say, growing up with not a lot maybe, and then you suddenly come into money, being able to do things like that. That's got to be the best bit about it.
It was, and I think I bought my mum everything. So I bought my mum a telly, I bought her a couch. I just done everything I could for the house. My brother always would have done it anyway. He was a full-time player at Liverpool, but left. He walked out on Liverpool. My brother just had enough. Just terminated this contract. Said, I'm not staying here. I've had enough. It was political. They weren't really treating him right, and a couple of his mates had pro contracts early. And I remember my dad bringing me over and saying, Lee's leaving Liverpool. I was like, where's he going? He went, no, he's just had enough. So Lee's 17, coming up to 18. He's still got another year left at Liverpool. And I remember speaking to him, what are you doing? He was like, I've had enough. I was like...
Just kind of fell out of love with it, like?
Just hated it. And my brother's like dead laid back, dead chilled out, happy-go-lucky. Nothing bothers him. He just hated all the politics, all the bullshit. And, you know, he just said, you know what, I've sacrificed all my childhood. I'm not prepared to like keep doing this for what you're giving me. And he went in, said to Steve Highway, listen, give me my contract, I've had enough. And I think Steve Highway thought, I'll call you bluff then, give you your contract. Thinking he'd go, I'm only joking. Just ripped it up, walked out and never played football again.
Really?
Honestly, never played football.
Insane,
and he was a top player, played left back, right back, both footed. If you speak to anyone in the city about him, brilliant footballer. And then just didn't play. Just had enough.
Does he play Sunday League?
Play Sunday League now with the lads.
Yeah,
He probably had 10 years where he never played at all. Just fell out. So like,
that's crazy.
He was saying to me, I was like, Lee, what are you doing? He's like, I've had enough. And I kept saying to you, you'll regret this.
You're driving Arnie McGann.
I'm driving Arnie McGann saying, get in, come on, this will cheer you up. Come on, let's go shopping. So,
did the club say anything about like how to spend, like not this? No. Do they do that now?
Mate, or is it before you answer that though, mate, there was a similar thing that went on for all the injured soldiers. Obviously, there's a lot of young lads getting blown up in Afghanistan, getting given compensation. And you'd go to Headley Court, the rehab centre, and then Headley Court's car park looked like a footballer's training ground. Yeah. You'd have all these lads with no arms and no legs driving around in ranges. You're like, what the fuck's going on? Yeah. And, you know, it's funny, but me, I was a bit more switched on. I just got a little mobility car. I'm not into cars. I just got a mobility car. That done me. But lads are getting the legs blown off and spending $100,000 on it.
Flying around
on an overfinch. Yeah. You know, Jesus. And it's like, mate...
Listen, I regret it because a couple of my mates at the time who had good money at Everton, but were buying like apartments in the Albert Dock for like 25 grand. That's how much they were going for. Yeah, 25, 30 grand. I could have had 3 or 4 apartments paid off with the money I had.
What would they be worth now as well, yeah?
I know one of my mates, he bought one down here for about £30,000 in right by the marina. It's only, I mean, at the time it was just a small 2-bedroom. And then the property boom took off, and then it must have been worth $100,000 overnight. And I'd literally spent some 20 grand on that. Yeah. My insurance was 12 grand a year. 12 grand a year. And I was under my granddad's name of second driver, because I remember ringing the insurance company, and they were like, okay, he said, where are you from? So I was like, Dingle. On our letters, Sockstuff. What's do for a living? Footballer. What car have you got? Brand new £18,000 convertible. Was like a convertible in Sockstuff thing, and probably just thinking the car's going to get set on fire on the roof. He went, a lot of them just said, listen, we can't insure you, it's not going to happen. And I think I found one, he just thought, you know what, I'll take a chance, but I'm just going to cut, I'm just going to charge him a fortune, like £12,000 as a named driver under my grand. That's not bad.
At Headley Court, it was the same though, no one was giving any financial advice, and the reason the military kind of didn't, their defence was, if we get a financial advisor and they advise you to do something and then that goes tits up, you can come back for us. So I understand it, but on the flip side, you had all these lads, and again from just normal lads like council estates and stuff, who were just being given a bit of money. And
it's up to them how they spend the money, isn't it? At the end of the day,
I do it a lot with my players now. The only thing I don't ask my players to is invest in anything. If it's property, I had a player on the phone today from Middlesbrough wanting to speak to the guy who I speak to about properties and Coots banking and things like that, because he wants to buy a bit of property. But what I won't do is tell him what to buy, because again, if it goes wrong, he'll blame you, even if you just point them in that direction. So all I said to him is, listen, there's the guy I deal with. All the players deal with this guy, just gets all the mortgages for you, and then he'll do all the work for you. But I never advised them to buy anything or invest in it, because it'll always come back on you. And I know lots of agents who've like gone into business with players and advised them to go into like it was like a film scheme years ago that a lot of footballers got burned.
Avatar, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Something happened where loads of footballers got sold by their agents and people like that to advertise, to sort of like defer your money into this film scheme and you'd be fine. And it went pear-shaped.
As in like movie film, like film,
yeah. So I don't know the ins and outs, but it was like a.
There was a property one, isn't it?
There was a property one as well. There was a few. It got highlighted a couple of years ago with like a lot of, and what it was a lot of the footballers that had just retired that had put a lot of money in it. Who again are now blaming their agents, which
I'm sure Shearer got done, didn't he?
Shearer, there's some high profile ones. Yeah. I'm talking like millions of pound players are putting millions of pounds into it. So I never tell the players what's a sort of spend.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I speak to the young players now. Like we're a couple of young players who were already millionaires before the 20. It's ridiculous, like millionaires.
Insane,
so you're trying to educate them. So I'm trying to take myself back to all this. I know I've laughed about that, but I regret doing that because it didn't help me. Whether it's I didn't agree with the angle he come at and however he got with me, but I still regret it. It still didn't help me. So I always say to players, listen, just sort of, just make sure you've got the best support around you. And I don't mean like your mum, your family, but you're either going to listen to them or you're not. If you're one of them kids who are just like, my mum's mum, my dad's my dad, you're not going to listen to them no matter what they say about money. So I always say to the players, and young kids just bought a house in Crosby, which we've done, helped them do that. Just try and educate them a little bit. The club try and do a little bit, but they don't do enough.
Really, yeah.
And to be honest, what they should do, and I've said that, so they moan about these kids getting too much too soon. And I was one of them, but for me, they should be thinking about like, if you're on 10,000, so there's lads now, Man City, Liverpool, who are on £10,000 a week. You shouldn't be on £10,000 a week at 18. You just shouldn't, no matter what walk of life, and you shouldn't have access to that money.
Yeah.
So what they should do is give that to the FA or the PFA, and every year they give you a dividends from it, because you're not gonna. So you basically on £1,000 a week. The other 9 goes to your savings, and they give you the dividends. And when you retire, now I know what it's like retiring from football. I got my pension quite early, which helped me. But these players are leaving football at 35, and I know that now because I'm 36 this year. So I know that players are running out of money quickly as soon as they retire. Players that are earning, like, I know players that are earning 20, 30, 40, 50 around a week, or averaging that for like 10 years, who haven't got any money.
Jesus.
So as young players, I always say to like a friend of mine at the PFA, why don't you do something where you work with the clubs and say, listen, we'll take the money off. So you give us the money and we'll give you 10% of it. And then, I don't know, so like Trent Arnold, for instance, if he's on 100 grand a week, he probably deserves that now because he's played so many games for Liverpool. He's an established footballer. Yeah. So you get that. So I'm not saying he should have been, he should only get 10% of what he's getting, but certain players who haven't kicked the ball in anyone's first team and now got access to like £10,000 a week, don't know what to do with it. They should be sort of leave it as a bond with the FA or the PFA, and then they give you it back throughout your career. And then obviously when you're 35 and you retire, you've got so many millions of pounds there.
Yeah,
I just think I know so many players, and I've represented players who've been on at Man Cities and big clubs on like 6, 7, 8 grand a week at 17, 18, who are no longer playing football, literally not playing football for anyone. I haven't got any money.
Crazy, isn't it?
You know what I think one of the toughest thing about that, not only financially, but I think the ego side of things. How can you go from being say 40, needing to get a job because you're skint, but your ego's telling you, I play for Man City, I was on 50 grand a week. I think that'd be so hard to have a word with yourself in the mirror and go, swallow your pride, you need a fucking job.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, when I left Everton, I found it tough because I was like, I don't know, I'd only known Everton. I was known as like Steve, play for Everton, he's a footballer. And then when I couldn't get back into the professional game, I was thinking, what do I do here? I was thinking, I can't really go, well, I can go and work, but I've got me to go and work in like JD Sports or I can, in a garage or a factory. It's going to be hard for me to go and work. Yeah, you don't know any difference. So I mean, certainly these young kids now who are in the academies. I know there's kids now who are at 6 and 7 who are in these academies, could be in the academy for 10 years, and they get released at 16. So they give up the whole childhood. They've sacrificed so much. The parents have sacrificed a lot getting them there, and doing all that, and then all of a sudden you get told that you're not good enough or it's not happening for you, and then all of a sudden you've got to react and say, okay, well I've got I've got to start it again here. So at this age, it's mad.
Yeah, and you live to like, if you're earning, say, 50 grand, like say 10 grand a week, you live to your means, don't you? You don't save 9 of that.
No.
You know, you live into like,
of course.
Like everyone lives pretty much to their, like, within that budget. They don't suddenly decide to save 90% of their weight. Like, so like that is, you know, it's so.
The thing as well, I've worked a little bit with the England setup. I've worked with mostly Liverpool, Man City, and also England youth teams. So I know a lot of these lads, some of them have made it now. But what I found baffling was that England under 19, I think it was, or something. I was doing a talk for these and I'm thinking, surely all these are going to make it. And they were telling me, no, they're not all guaranteed a future in sport. And I thought, to be at 19, under 19, say, or 18s, surely you think you're going to make a career in the game. And said, even still, some of them will drop out.
You do. So I played in England under 18s was the highest I got to, and we have 4 or 5 who made it, but there's 4 or 5 who didn't play any football. So not only did they miss out on Premier League and miss League One Championship, they end up not playing at all. And I remember one of our coaches saying, even though you're the best players in the country, there's only going to be 2 or 3 years that are going to go on and have a career. I remember, and he actually said, go have a look around at each other now. I remember looking around, but I actually thought at the time, I fancy myself here. No, we picking 3. I was actually thinking, I think I'll be all right here. Not thinking ahead, but it's like our youth cup team. So we got the youth cup final at Everton.
Just when Rooney was breaking on.
Rooney was in our team.
I went to Goodison.
Did you go?
Yeah, I was in year 9 or 10. Was I? Yeah, I was in school anyway. Massive red. But the talk of the time, wasn't it? When Rooney was there, it was like, I just need to see this lad. He's 16, 15, whatever he was.
Yeah.
You just need to go and watch him. And I was like, I'm not going to watch fucking Everton. And they were like, mate, you need to watch this lad. And I went to watch. I went to Goodison to watch.
What game do you remember?
I can't remember the game. I just remember going and he fucking scored. And I was like,
he scored every game.
Wow. Yeah, it was just incredible.
Just, I mean, when I first see Wayne's a year younger than me. Wayne was, I'd seen him as soon as I come in, but he was a little bit younger, so we didn't, he was good, but he was too young to be getting excited about. And then I remember, what was I, 15? I was 15, I was playing for like the under 17s, 2 years above me, and we were playing Leicester away. So Wayne's a year above me, I'm playing 2 years above my own age group, Wayne's a year below, and Wayne come with us on the coach. So he's like, I was the youngest in the team and Wayne was even younger again, and I hadn't really seen him play because I was training with my own group. You were in your groups, and even if you were better than your group, you never jumped up a group. Now it's a little bit different. If you're 10 now and you're better than your age, you might go in the 11s or 12s. Yeah. You just stayed in your own groups. You got to like 16, 18s at Everton. And I remember him come on the game, and he just looked incredible. I was like, wow, he scored 2. He was only on the pitch about 15 minutes. He must have been 14. It was like that. He just, he was brave. He didn't care. He was just like, showed no respect.
Players like that have like an aura about them.
Yeah, but Wayne did. But the thing with Wayne was quite cocky as well in the right way, because he backed it up all the time. But he was always joking, having himself, and he always knew that he played for Everton. Always saying the same thing. He was in so when I played for England, Wayne was in a year below me for England. So when we don't all go away, we'd always be together and stuff like that. And at Everton, when I was a first year pro, Wayne was a first year scholar, so he'd come in with us. We're good mates, obviously. And then you could just see straight away he was like different level. And we had some good players, and then, but he come in, he was just on a completely different level. Yeah, he was just like, the thing with Wayne, what fascinated me with him, I'd always like, I'd had to zone in, I'd had to be focused on the game. So the night before, I was like thinking about the game, drinking the right stuff, just preparing, get up early. I'd had a little bit of a routine, I'd always like a little bit of nerves, and I'd always like, Wayne could literally go from like having a laugh and a joke out there over something, just messing around, walk onto the pitch and just be unbelievable. It just had that, like, it's just a unique talent that I had. And then he just come in, he was just miles ahead of everyone, and we were always saying to him, listen, you're going to go in, because we trained at Netherton and not far from you. Remember where Everton used to train?
Yeah.
So we were there, and Everton's first team were at Belfield. So if you got called down to Belfield, you were doing something right. So now and again, it coming and go like, where's Wayne's at Belfield? So you just knew it was coming. You know, it was a matter of time. And then the youth cup, he was just unbelievable. We had a good team, but he was like the difference. He was like, he got us to the final. We should have won it. He scored in the final. He was. Did
you ever like compare yourself? Like, how am I in this city? No.
No, I'd probably say I was the best Yeah, I was the best in my age group at 16, 17. I was our best player. There was a couple of other good players, but I think I was the best in our age group without being like cocky. I thought I was at 16 and 17. And I always thought at that age I'm making it. There was never any doubt in my mind that I weren't making it as a footballer at Everton. So at 14, 15, you go, I'd love to be a footballer, and you think I've got a little bit about me, and people are talking. But only at like 17, when I was playing for England and playing for like Everton under, so I was playing for Everton under 19s. So even at the age of 16, you had under 17s and under 19s. So normally as a first year, you're going with the 17s, and you know your second and third years you go with the 19s. As soon as I come in to Everton on my first day as a scholar, I went straight with the under-19s, played every game for them, won the league, was doing well for them. So I was thinking, I was thinking, I'm gonna make it here. I don't know what level, but I thought, I looked at what was ahead of me, and I thought, there's nothing really ahead of me here. I've got a sort of clear pathway here to get into the first team. So I always believed I'd make it. So when I seen Wayne was like never any competition. Wayne was like a different planet than anyone, you know what I mean, completely. And he was always different, and he was always coming on his own pathways. He was going like straight in like 16. He was always going at that age, or quite young. He was just doing things like far too good for the 17s. Playing for the 19s was just bullying people. It was like having a proper first team player put in a 17. You know, he was just looked so much out of kilter how good he was. And then I remember playing in a reserve game. He only played one reserve game, Wayne, against Man United away at Old Trafford. I remember he got the ball, went past a couple of players, and he hit one from about 45 yards, and it hit the bar. And with that much power, when it hit the bar, it must have come back like 40, 50 yards and bounced near the halfway line. And everyone, you know, one of them, I was just looking at him going, who's this kid with like crazy, you know, power and talent?
Yeah. That's as a kid, weird you say that. I always think, you know, you look at a player when I was playing, because I had Charles Lipton when I was a kid. I was alright, but I always think as a kid, like 13, 14, 15, you know, if a player was good by how hard he could hit the ball, you think, where the fuck are you generating this power from? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was him. But his was like, honestly, a crazy power, crazy strength. You know, when like you seen him, so like the way he's built now, he was built like that at 16, 17. He was unstoppable, because not only was he like a battering ram and powerful and strong, but he had unbelievable ability. So like he was skillful and he knew the game. He was like years, you know, his game understanding was like 10 years ahead. You know, the things he was doing in football, and just seeing a different game than you when he was playing. So like when you're playing, like I was a midfielder, so I'd always like to see what was around me. What, you know, before I got the ball, I knew what was going on around me. But knowing what's around you and then getting the ball and executing it is a different story. He just knew, like he was always like 2 steps ahead, or he was just on a different level than people. And I remember saying to like my mates, my brother and everyone, wait till you see this kid. This kid's coming with us training today, Wayne Rooney. I knew about him anyway. He'd broken like every schoolboy record, and he was just, you could not know about him. But I weren't really that fussed, because I thought, listen, I'm here, I'm doing what I'm doing. This is my thing. I was always like ahead of him anyway in age groups. And then after seeing him, I remember ringing like all my Evertonian mates, saying like, listen, wait till you see this kid. Unbelievable. And like, I remember a load of my mates they never come to watch me. Come to Belfield, all these Evertonians, all my mates watching Wayne. And he was just,
it was like that though. I remember it. I remember the buzz, people going, mate, we need to go and see this 15-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid. It's like,
and especially if you're the best, like, I wonder how you keep pushing yourself if you are the best. Like, how do you keep, like, because obviously if you compare yourself to Wayne Rooney, like, you know, you've got that distance, haven't you, to kind of catch. So it's you are trying to push yourself, aren't you? But whereas it's like,
But the thing with, he was just relentless, Wayne. Nothing was going to stop him. And what people forget, because I know him really well. I train with him every day for like 3-4 years, and you know him now to this day. Obviously he's with our company, so we still know each other really well. He just had an unbelievable work ethic. He was the first into Belfield, the last to leave. You couldn't get him off the training pitch. He just loved football. It was like the way I was talking about me loving football, like 10, 11, 12, where I was like always with my mates, and your mum and dad took him and shout you to get off the pitch because you wouldn't go home. Yeah. He was like that at Everton at 16. He just loved it. And because he was a big Evertonian, remember he used to have like the Everton number plate in his window. He had like an Everton number plate in his window in Croxteth, and all his room was Everton. He was just like, he just loved it. I don't think he like, when he got thrown in, but like at the time he come into Everton, he was training with like Paul Gascoigne Paul was playing for, so Gaza was playing for Everton at the time, and Ginola and ridiculous legends, and he was like training with them. I weren't, you know, we were still like at the academy, even though like we were chomping at the bit. He was younger than us, but went in. But there was no like jealousy, because like
you were just buzzing for him.
Yeah, and it was just obvious he had to be there. He was that good.
Was he a year younger than you?
Yeah, younger than me. So sometimes, like, you know, in football, you know, you get a bit jealous. You think, why is he going with the first team, or why is he getting picked? And you sort of say, well, I'm better than him, and I'm, you know, there's no way he's better. But like, there was no like, he was just on a different level. So you just knew why he was playing with the same with the first team every day. But he was just.
Did you sell him the Renault Megane?
No.
That famous photo, wasn't it, after he scored the goal against Arsenal, and that night he was playing in the street with all his mates. That was brilliant to see that.
It's funny, because I remember the night he scored the goal, we went to a bar in Liverpool called the Barcelona Bar. Remember that? He was in there at 16. The doorman, you couldn't help know Wayne Rooney, so the doorman knew he was 16 and sort of said, listen, Wayne, go on, get inside. Because like, I was like, I would have been 17 going like trying to blag it. Either I had a fake ID or just sort of like acted 18 or tried to sneak in. Everyone just knew, and it was sort of like, go on, mate, get in. Go inside, all Evertonian doorman, go get in, mate, go on, we'll look after you. But he's,
obviously when Wayne's doing that, how did your career then kind of go from there, you're thinking?
So there's that pitch again.
Sorry, mate, I'll take it off. Just imagine walking onto the showroom there going, that looks shit out, that, doesn't it?
Because whenever the yellow one, Jesus. I don't know what I was thinking then. No, in terms of pathways, I mean, I obviously wouldn't compare anything with Wayne, but Wayne was always going on a different, completely different planet. He was just going on his different path, and he was always doing. He was always going to make it, Wayne, no matter what. Mine was slightly different, because I don't know how good I would have been. So some players will say, listen, I should have made it, and I could have made it, and I would have been this. I genuinely don't know how good I could have been, because what was I? I was like 19 coming up to 20. So my 3-year contract was just about to end. It was coming up. So in January, I had like 4 months left of my contract. And I remember speaking to the club about it, and they were like, you know, you're going to get offered a new deal, so's he, and so's he. So I was like, okay, well, we'll wait for that. And it was just going on for a little bit, and then he offered me a deal, which was like 20% less than what I was on. Me and a couple of players, I was thinking, what's going on here? But I knew a couple of lads who got new deals and got more money, so it weren't like I was just saying everyone has to take a pay cut. Like now, players taking a pay cut, get used to it, because everyone's got to take a little bit of pain with COVID and stuff like that. That's something that's ongoing. But then I was thinking, something's not right. So I said, okay, listen, send it over. And then it was getting delayed. I don't know what happened. It just never. I never actually had the contract. And then I remember they have a thing that they still do now. It's called exit trials. So if you get released by a club, you go on, it was at Lilleshall, you go down and play in a game, and every scout, every man, there's dogs there in football, and you play in one game, and it's basically set up for players that get released. Now, because I hadn't been released, I said to Everton, listen, I don't know what's happening here, I'm going to go this trial game. And they were like, well, you know, your deal's there, you know you're getting a deal, you just got to wait for it. And I was a bit like, I think because I was pissed off with them not giving me the deal, I went, no, I'm going to go, expecting them to either go, you know, there's your deal, stay, you're not going anywhere. And they never. So I went down to these trial things at Lilleshall. I remember doing like really well. I'd come away from it, and they sort of tell you what scouts want your number. And my list was like 10, 12, 15, which not something to be proud of, because I still wanted to be at Everton. I didn't want to be in a trial game, but I knew there was enough interest, so I went back to Everton. And I remember playing in a game against Stoke at Belfield. So we played Stoke City at Belfield, and I scored an hat-trick. So I was a midfielder scoring an hat-trick, and I was on about 19 goals that year from midfield. Wayne had moved to the first team, so I was our top scorer. So I knew it was like, it's probably my best season in the 3 years that I've been at Everton, or even before that. I was doing it, you know, when you're having a good season, you know, when you're playing well. So I thought, and I remember scoring a hat-trick and saying to my dad after the game, let's put the doubters, you know, there's no doubt I'm getting a contract here now after that. That's sort of like rubber stamped me getting a deal. And not uncommon. And I remember going home, and my mum said to me, Everton had been on the phone. Ray Hall, who's the academy manager, wants you to ring him. So I rang him and said, hi Ray, what's going on? He said, listen, we've decided. He said, well, he actually said, we've decided, and then changed it. Because I remember clearly, he said, well, we haven't decided, but a decision's being made in the club, and they're no longer going to offer you a contract. So I was like, okay. I said, who's made the decision? He said, well, you know, come in and we'll have a chat with you. So I'm not coming in. You've made the decision. I don't need to come back because the season was ending now. I said, there's no point in me coming back. You made the decision. I knew what he meant. I knew he meant Colin Harvey, who was the coach at Everton, had made that decision. And we'd had a few run-ins over like the car, and I think he was a bit like, we just kept clashing. You know, I wouldn't back down to him because I always thought that I'd applied myself well. You know,
even if you had that track record of those.
Yeah, but that's what surprised. You know, it was like, so we'd had a few run-ins over the car started, and there was another couple of instances where they seemed like, I remember coming into Belfield and he called me upstairs again. So when you come upstairs, you know you're getting fucking bollocked. And it was on a Friday morning, so we played on a Saturday morning, and he goes to me, where was you last night? And I go, I was thinking, where was it? I went to pitches on Allen Road. Why? He said, no, you were in Yates's Wine Lodge on Allen Road. So I said, went. What I'd done, I parked outside Yates's on a Thursday. Because I've got S-Beck on the red, you can't lie, so it's not my car. But I was actually in the pitches, down a couple of blocks down. So I said, Colin, listen, I went. I said, and like, my mum and dad wouldn't allow me to go out and drink a couple of nights before a game. They weren't strict, but they just wouldn't allow me to do that, and I wouldn't do it myself. So I was like, no, listen, you've got it wrong. I was at the pitches, and he went, well, listen, you're getting fined. I said, how are you finding me? You can't find me. I said, genuinely, so I was, whatever. And I remember getting my wage slip, and it had 2 weeks fine. I had 2 weeks for this. I was like, listen, this is fucking ridiculous. I can't just bite my lip. You've got to go and see him. I remember seeing him in the car park and said, Colin, listen, I've just got my wage slip. How am I getting me fined 2 weeks for this? And he was like, well, drinking 48 hours before a game. I said, listen, you've got no proof I was drinking, and I've told you genuinely weren't. And because I actually wasn't drinking, I thought there's fucking no way I'm backing down here. I'm not having this. Yeah. If I was drinking, I might have just gone, you know what? I've been nicked, fucking. I'll put up a bit of a fight and then leave it alone type of thing. And then I thought, no. So I said, listen, I'm not happy. So I'm going to go to the PFA. So the PFA obviously representing the players. I said, I'm going to go to the PFA, Colin, but there's no way I'm having this 2 weeks fine. And I know other people have been like in trouble in the past, and the most I've got is a week. I said, this is getting personal now between me and you. And the player liaison officer at Everton, who's now the head loan manager at Everton, he's still there now. I remember him coming around to my mum and dad's house with me and saying, listen, we spoke internally about what's going on. We feel that, but we know what's going on. We feel like Colin's, fucking giving Steven a tough time and all that. We just want to know, is everything okay, and this, that and the other, and we sort of on your side. But at the time, Colin Harvey's like a big legend at Everton, massive legend for what he done as a player and as a manager. And I've got the utmost respect for him as a player and a manager. I've got none for him as a coach. And that's not me being bitter. He just come in with it. He was like late 50s when he come in the academy. So we've got like an academy manager. Like now they're all like brand new out of football and got all the badges and things are different. And even
old school.
Yeah, but like when I played, it was old school. It's not like it is now. I mean, if you swear at a kid now or you shout at him, there's an investigation going on. You can't do that. You can't bollock a kid. When I played, it was you could get bollocked and you fucking they do things that now you get coaches get sacked for certain things that went on when I done. But he went further the other way where he was just like, it was like he was because he'd had an unbelievable career but never made any money. And he's seen all these young lads like us picking up good money because we sort of found, we were on the wave of the new money that come in. We sort of, when we signed pro, it was on like Sky Sports and all that kicked off then, so the money was getting pumped into football, and that's why I ended up like on a good deal. And I think he was just envious and jealous of like, not me as a player, because he was an incredible player and I done nothing compared to him, but I think he didn't like the fact that me and our lads all had like decent monies and we didn't do nothing. So he had that, being his bonnet over it. But it got personal with a few players, and I know players that left, and even the lad called Sean Doherty, who was the year below me, his dad was the head of recruitment, and he wouldn't allow Sean to sign for Everton because he didn't think Colin Harvey was the right person. So he went to sign for Fulham. Sean got a good career. Sean, good mate of mine, he works for Adidas at the minute, sorting all the players' contracts out. Now his dad knew if he took him to Fulham, he'd lose his job, because you can't be the head of recruitment at Everton and can't sign your own son. But he just thought, I'm going to sacrifice my job to get my son there. So Sean left because he just knew it was like, I was like a different player. Colin Harvey was like a Roy Keane type of player, no nonsense. I was different. I was like a flair player, midfielder, like getting on the ball. So I don't know, when I come in, he rated me, but I think certain things over like the 3 years, we just clashed, and there was loads of times where we just fell out. And I remember another time where...
You're still a young man as well, aren't you, yourself?
So you know, from your background, we've gone from like leaving school to 16 going in this like environment. It's not the environment you went in, obviously, but it's like, it's intimidating. You know, when we're like...
Yeah, I always think that, mate, like when I joined the Marines at 17, the first 2 weeks you put in a big, massive 60-man room with fellas from 16 to 26.
Yeah.
You've never been away from home before, and you're in this room with fucking big, airy fellas, and you're like, you got to grow up quick, like, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I mean. I knew that because my brother had gone through it, so I knew what to expect. And I had mates, and even at 15, I was always getting brought in with the first year and the first year pros, and that just be sort of integrated into the group. So I knew what to expect, but it was like he was just too old school. It was like it was just he went beyond, and a few times with me. I remember a time when I got called up to England. I was playing Brazil, out in Brazil, and I got the letter saying, "Listen, you've been selected." And I thought, "Fucking hell, brilliant, Brazil playing against." And I thought, "This is unbelievable." Made up, and I remember him bringing me. We were training. He said, "Come and see me." Walked over and he said, "Listen, you're not going away with England." So I was like, "Why?" He went, "You need it here." I said, "Well, I come to Brazil," and they were playing like Argentina, and I said, "What an unbelievable experience of being in Brazil." And he went, "No, listen, we pay your wages, England don't." So I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, why?" He said, "Well, we've got a game on Friday, and you're needed for that game." So I thought, okay, well, I said, "Well, you know, he's got a point. You know, if I do pay me wages, and if I'm that important, you know, this is where I'm going to have a career, not in England." And we played at St Helens, funny enough, not far from here. That's where we used to play at the rugby ground, our reserve games. And I go in the changing room, and my name's...
Oh, don't even
I'm on the
say
bench.
Oh.
So I look at that, and I'm on the bench, so I thought, rang me dad, and told me, he went, "Oh, don't say nothing. Just bite your lip, you might come on." I went, "No, this is fucking ridiculous." I remember just going over to Collins and can have a word. What I shouldn't have done, I tapped him on the shoulder in front of all the lads, and he was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "Sorry, I can have a word." And he went, "No, you fucking can't, you're waiting," all that. So after the game, I just said, "What?" I said, he just again just bollocked me, but he was more like bollocking me over me pulling him. So he had a little ammunition, and I was like,
"Yeah, cool.
You stopped me going to Brazil, away with England to play Brazil for a game that was pointless anyway. It was like a league game that didn't mean on. I think it was against like Bradford or something like that, and I actually didn't even play in the game." And then I knew it was like personal, and I was saying to my mum, "Dad, this is fucking ridiculous."
Can the club do that? Stop you from going to... Do they do that now? They don't do that now?
No, they do it with the young lads now.
Do they, yeah?
England, like, if you get picked for England have got preference over your club. I mean, you see now Jose's having a bit of a battle over Harry Kane, and it's ongoing, but normally in the academies you think, well, it's normally good for the academies to have players representing England.
Yeah.
So we had Steven Schumacher, who was my Everton teammate, who was the captain of our England team, who went there. So I had to watch one of my mates go to Brazil. Didn't stop him. So at the time when he told me I'm not going, I thought, okay, well, if he hasn't stopped him going, but wants me here, maybe I've got a better chance of making it at Everton. And, you know, he's not really that fussed on Steven, who's gone. Cool. So I was like looking at it from, you know, positive thinking, this could be all right. And when I see my name on the bench, I was like, this is fucking mad. How's this just, you know, how's he done that? And then we didn't have a relationship. So when he sort of told me I was getting released, I knew it was a class. I knew it was sort of like Colin and not the club, because I had people like ringing me apologising and saying,
you knew you were still beaten.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not sitting here saying I want to play for Everton. I probably wouldn't have done, truthfully, because at the time, when I got to like 1920, I don't think I was ready for Everton. I might have went on loan and come back a better player, but at that time I was never ready for Everton's face. I'm not sitting here thinking, you know, if it weren't for him, I would have made it. But if it weren't for him, I definitely would have got another contract. I would have got another year or two. And then after that, you never know where that can take you. Know. Course, and then, what was the worst thing about it? Which was the year I left. So I left in the June. He fucking handed in his notice in July. He left the building. And this, like, Neil Jusnip, who's at Plymouth now, he's like, he's a mate, he's a good friend of mine, but he was like a coach at the academy and loved me, and he was a teacher at Carlin here in high school, so he was like, he was more for us. And he took over as academy manager like a month later. I remember ringing the lads saying, "Oh, you're not going to believe it. Fucking he's left, you know." I went, "What?" What's going on?
That's crazy.
Honestly, so
just on that, on Yates's and parking it, I remember we had, I'm sure it was Andy Firth who said, Rangers goalkeeper, he said that, like, even if you went into a pub for like Sunday roast, you've got to be careful because you just don't know how, like someone's like, oh, I saw you at the pub, but he's not drinking, he's there just having like a roast dinner, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
you weren't even there, but
I wasn't even there, but I mean, there was times where probably on a Friday I might say, you know what, I'll go and have a couple of orange juice. I never drank before a game, was never ever do that. My dad wouldn't allow it. If I was wearing by like 10 o'clock before a game, my dad would be like, where are you, what are you doing? Never like, get home, it was never like that. It was more what are you doing? Never. So I was always quite disciplined, but it's probably times where I did go out and I might have been in Yates's on a Friday night, but not drinking over the years before that. But I was, what made me blood boil was the fact I knew I weren't.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was watching in the pitches, but it cost me £2,000 a week with the fines. It must have been a good movie. But yeah, so that was it. So that was the end of Everton. So it was hard to take. So it was like, it was just hard to get. So I always bottled everything up anyway. So whenever I'm like that now with my family. I don't tell them much. But at the time when I'd done it, I just told my mum, and then I said, I'm going to go for a little drive. So I remember driving down by the Albert Dock. Just sat there for a few hours just thinking, fuck, what's happened there? I was gutted, but I didn't want to show it to my family, my brother and things like that, and even my mates. And then I just thought, do you know what, listen, I'm good enough to get a career, so I'll go again type of thing. But it was only years and years later that I thought, you know, when you bottled it up for that long, and it was just hard, it was tough. It's tough now, and I know these lads now I represent who get released, and I know exactly what they're going through, and I'm there for them, and it's because it's hard. It's really, you know, your world gets tipped up to the side down. You've got to react. You're sitting
there thinking, how the fuck am I affording this £12 a year insurance?
So I sold the car. Got to focus.
Nah, joking aside, I mean, you can't even. It's just like having you fucking. Well, I always think, mate, when I got blown up, I was a realist straight away, and I knew when I got blown up, I thought that's my career over. But I saw some lads, and they were kind of like, they lost both their legs, and they're going, nah, I'm still going to be in the army, or I'm still going to be a Marine. And you're like, mate, you fucking, and it's hard to, you can see how people struggle to come to terms with that. You know, there might have been a bit of that thinking, nah, I'll play for Everton, and the reality is, well, no, you're not anymore.
Well, it's like, what is it when you come out the army and they suffer from, what's the word?
PTSD.
So I'm not saying it's that, it's obviously not nowhere near as traumatic as that, but it's I mean, I was speaking to a player the other day called Neil Dans. He's had a good career, so I helped him get to Tranmere last year, and he's a good friend of mine, and we were talking the other day about setting something up for footballers to help them. And I don't mean help them get another club, that's what I do as an agent. I mean help them, like, there's two elements. My age now, 35, 36, when you're no longer a footballer because you can't do it anymore, what you do, and you want to be able to get divorced, and it's not just money, it's the fact that they can't, massive, the routine's gone.
Mate, I spoke to Karen, mate, he said that's something like, I can't remember what he said, but it's something like about 40% of players are either divorced or bankrupt within, I think, 10 years.
Yeah, the PFA have got some data on it, haven't they, or something like that,
So there's that side of it, and then the side that they don't see is, like, as you say, you go from being, so I've gone from being like Steven Beck, Everton, England footballer, one phone call, it's just gone.
Yeah.
It's gone, do you know what I mean? So I'm now like, what? So I'm like, I've got no job.
Who am I?
Yeah.
It's an identity crisis.
It's weird. It's a weird place to be.
It's like, it's maybe not the same, but it's like, if you've been a solicitor all your life, you've trained and worked hard to become, and then suddenly they go, nah, don't think you should do it anymore, end of. And then you're like, what?
I see it now with, like, how you look at, like, so the way you look at, like, Stephen, so you look at Wayne Rooney now as he's playing, the day he retires, people look at him a little bit different. So, like, Gerrard was like, everyone remembers, so Gerrard's still a legend, but you look at him slightly different when you stop playing football. There's something about it, but when you get released, you've then got to sort of, like, you panic a little bit and think, well, what am I going to do here, type of thing. And I had another couple of bombshells to come about me health after it, which was, you know, even stranger to get over. But at that time, I was like, what am I going to do? You know, I was gutted, I never showed it, but it was tough. And even, like, even now when I speak to people, it's hard to get your head around, like, what happened, what could have been, you know, if he didn't retire or if he went there, what might have happened, type of thing. It's hard to get your head around. I
think, mate, a big one is, we mentioned it before, I think it's ego. Like, mate, I think being a Royal Marine Commando is one of the best jobs in the world. Like, I fucking loved it. One of the best things was being able to say, when someone said, what do you do? You go, I'm a Marine. It was fucking great.
Yeah.
I had this fucking terrible problem with my ego where I was thinking, like, I kind of was a bit of a snob. I was thinking, I'm not fucking doing that. I'm just fucking Marine. I'm not fucking wearing. And I can imagine a footballer, it's a similar type.
As in, like, you don't want a 9-to-5 job, or like after you,
became a bit. And I know lads do now. It's like, I've been a fucking Royal Marine Commando. I'm not fucking stacking shelves. I'm not fucking working in a warehouse. I'm not. And even though it's like you're not on a lot of money as a Marine, or you're not, it's just that kind of that title of I'm a Royal Marines Commando. And as a footballer, you know, you're the next thing, and everyone knows you as that, and it's that pride thing, isn't it?
It's tough. It is. And financially, I was okay. So I didn't have to go looking for a job. It was just sort of like, I don't know, I wouldn't say finding yourself, but that sounds a bit like, you know, a bit wet and that, you know what I mean? I was like, I need to go and find myself, but it was more like, I don't know, just needed time for it to process and sort of like get your head around a little bit. And then it took me a while to get going. I didn't really want to go and speak to other clubs at that time. I was like, sort of just getting my head around a little bit. But it does, it's like, you know, it's tough because, as I say, you can't, like, what you do after that. And I remember, I think you were speaking about Ray Quinn the other day, you know, like Ray Quinn's story, and it's I mean, it must be tough for him. I mean, fair play to him for what he's doing. I mean, he's got to do it, you know, we've all got to do it, but he's got like, he's delivering parcels or whatever, so every parcel he delivers, they probably recognise who he is. So they either talk to him about, how have you ended up here type of thing, or you go away and you know they're talking about you. So that's what I was thinking like at the time. So what do I do here? Do I go and get a job, or if football doesn't work, and you're not embarrassed, but you're halfway.
Liverpool as well, mate, where everyone knows everything in Liverpool, don't they, and stuff. My dad used to always tell everyone I was in the Marines, even when I was still in training. And when it was tough through training, I thought, there's no way I can go back to Liverpool, fucking quitting this, because fucking everyone will be like, oh, the Marines not work out. And I guess it's similar, isn't it? Everyone knows you as, he's playing for Everton in England, he's going to nail it, and
it is.
Suddenly you're not.
You know what? I felt bad on my family, my dad. No, like, my dad was really proud of me and my brother. And Lee had obviously stopped playing because he just fell out of love with it. And then when I got released, I was gutted for my dad. Not because, like, the money, because they weren't asked about the money. Like, they still live in the same house now. Even if, like, I said, like, I'll buy you a mansion, somebody wouldn't do it. It was more like, I was just embarrassed because he was proud of me. He was like, he used to go to work, and he was just like, non-stop talking. My lads play for Liverpool, Stephen's at Everton, he's a footballer. And it was like, my granddad and all this. And it was like, I was gutted for them. My dad, like, Dad never, like, you know, wouldn't ask for nothing, and he's saying, like, he doesn't give a shit what you do. You know what I mean? If I was working now in, like, a shop or delivering parcels, it'd still be the same. So my brother's worked in, like, normal jobs, and it's his son, so he loves us. But it was more like, I was just gutted for him. Oh, it's weird, like, I was gutted that I never, like, not that I let him down, because he'd never ever look at it like that. I just thought, I don't know, it's just real disappointment. I know, even when I got, like, doing quite well now and what I do, I know he's proud of me again. That's like a big thing for me, that I didn't go and do anything daft, or, you know, I've made something of myself at the minute, and I know he's proud of me, because when I meet him, or when I catch up with him now and see him, he's always talking about what deals are happening. I've seen your player link with whoever, and he gets a buzz from it. I mean, I know he tells all his mates and work, and deadline day and the transfer window, he's screenshotting all my plays. What's happening with him? And he's probably in work saying to mates, that's my lad's play. You know, he's moving. No, he's not going in. Don't put money on that. He's staying here. He's probably doing that. You know what I mean? But, like, so it's nice that I'm doing something now that he's obviously, you know, he's proud of. But at the time, it was tough.
How long did it take you then to kind of get your head around to then look at another club and stuff, and try and get your career back on track?
It was a while, because I looked at the list, and my phone was ringing me. My dad, listen, get him across, we'll offer him a deal, we'll offer him this. I just didn't really want to go. And I was probably looking down at all the clubs. Now I'd be like, fucking hell, Championship club and bottom Premier League club. But at the time, I was looking at some of the clubs like Norwich and just clubs like now Burnley's and that, where I was thinking, I'm better than that. Now I'd be like, I mean, players, you know, these are big clubs now, and they probably were at the time, but I was thinking, I'm not going there. So when my phone was thinking, what about Dan? We'll offer you a pro. I was like, I'm going to leave it for now. And I remember going, I went away for a few weeks with my brother. I took my brother to, like, his mate was working on Ibiza, so I just said, let's go away for a couple of weeks. And then I went to Magaluf or wherever it was. I ended up having like about 4 or 5 weeks. It didn't really help me, because I didn't do any runs. I was just fucking drinking and sort of like acting daft over there, my brother. And then I remember Wigan ringing me when I was over there, saying like, come in, there's a deal for you at Wigan. I knew a few of the lads at Wigan. Paul Jewell was the manager, so he was a scouser. I thought, look, come back to Wigan, met with Wigan, I played in a game, and he said, listen, we'll offer you a contract, we'll offer you probably a 1-year deal, it was at the time, same money, because they see me going into like the first team, then looking at, I think they were in the Championship at the time, so yeah, they said, we see you going in the first team for us. I was like, all right, great. I thought, rang my dad and he said, yeah, go for it, you know, it's the Championship, it's you know, decent money, you'll play and then you'll end up where you're meant to be, if that's like higher than Wigan or whatever, you know, it'll all come out in the wash type of thing. So I remember saying, all right, we'll do it, and the physio at Wigan said, come on, we need to go and do a medical in Wigan hospital. So I went down with them, done all the tests, so done like the just the usual medical stuff, you know, your mobility, your joints, scans and all that. And I remember sitting here, so it was me, the Wigan physio and the doctor, and he's reading the ECG out. And I remember the doctor said to like him, can I have a word outside with you? So I was thinking like, what's he saying to him that he can't say to me? Because, you know, so I didn't overthink it, but looking back I thought it's a little bit weird. And then they come back in, he said, can you go and wait in the corridor, we've got a couple of things to do. And then some other doctor come in with them. I remember sitting there for about felt like a couple of hours, and I remember saying to the physio, what are we waiting around for here? You know, can we go home and get the results? What's the delay type of thing? And he was like racing around on his phone, making calls. Only now I look back and I think I knew something, they knew something wrong, and I knew, but I didn't really look into it. And I remember coming back he called us back into his office and said, we can't sign off on this medical, you failed your medical. So I was like, on what? He said, on your ECG, something's been flagged up that I'm unhappy with and I can't sign it off. So I was like, looking at the physio, I said, what happens now? We ain't overly worried because I thought, I'm fine, I've been playing, I'm fit, I've never had any part, and I was super fit. I was always one of the fittest players, so I thought, okay, so what happens now? So what we're going to do, we're going to send for a second opinion, and we're also going to request the medical records from Everton to see if she's anything different. So the Wigan physio went out, and I didn't know the Wigan physio. I'd only been there a few days, so I didn't have a relationship with him. So I just said, do you mind if I go back in a sec? Went back in and said, doctor, there's something to worry about. And he was like, not really, but I said, well, tell me what it is. And he told me that no, it went over me at the time, but he was saying, listen, there's a irregular heart rhythm on the ECG, and we're not happy with it, but let's look into it. So I said, all right, no problem. And then physio dropped me off, and I got off, and I waited a couple of days and then rang the physio again and said, any updates? He was like, not yet. I was dragging on for a little bit, and I thought, something's not right here. And then on a Wednesday, I remember being a Wednesday because the lads were off on a Wednesday, they asked me to come in, Wigan. So I was like, what is it? You know, I thought, just tell me on the phone type of thing, you know. So I come in, sat with the doctor and physio and someone else was there. And he said, we're going to be unable to sign this deal off because we've had a second opinion and it's come back that this condition is can be linked with a condition called hypotrophic cardiomyopathy, which is related to sudden death in, you know, athletes and footballers, and Mwamba and
in Bolton.
Mark Vivian Foley. Obviously, Mark Vivian Foley passed away from it. So I was thinking, okay, fucking hell. So I said, he said, the problem here as well, we've got your medical history from Everton, and you haven't actually done an ECG before. So I said, I must have done, because I signed pro when I was 17, and I remember doing a medical. He said, no, what they've done a medical, but because you're sort of in the building and playing and fit, they haven't done, it hasn't been that thorough. They've sort of like just done it once over and you're okay. So I said, okay, so what are we doing here type of things? So we said, what we're going to do, so your family needs to go for tests to see if it's in the genes. So mum and dad, both nan and granddads at the time were alive, so they all went for tests, and it weren't hereditary in any way. So that made it worse, because if it was hereditary, they would have been able to say, well, listen, it's been passed down and we can deal with this problem type of thing. So it's like a couple of weeks went by, and then I said to Wigan, what we're doing, he said, we're going to send you to the London Heart Hospital with the best people in the world. Oh, sorry, before that I went to the Broad Green Hospital with a guy called Dr. Modi, who I remember them saying to me, you're going to go and see Dr. Modi. He'd worked on like Gerard Houllier at the time and all the best people. When he started saying that to me, I thought, well, something might be serious here.
I was going to say, at what point do you start thinking, forgetting about football and start thinking of like your own personal health?
Probably then I thought, something's a bit, but I thought, I was always thinking like, well, I'm fit, I've had no problems. I can't like, I'm fit. It's not like you've had like problems and gone, that's linked to that. So I weren't really, probably just weren't thinking straight at the time. But when he started saying like, yeah, you're going to go and see Gerard Houllier and we've got you the best guy and all this, and so I thought, well, you know, Wigan don't have to do this because I'm not even signed to Wigan. But I thought, obviously, Keane want me and they're going to pay the money to go private and get to see this fella. So I thought at the time, it might be serious, but I'll go in and see him. When I went to see him, he said, it's quite unusual what you've got. He said, I'm obviously, this is my area. You know, this is what I work on every day, but what I'm seeing with yours is quite unusual. So he was talking through it and stuff like that, and he said, I'd like to send you to the London Heart Hospital to see this guy, and he's worked with all the best footballers. He said, because at the minute we can't sign off on anything. We're really unhappy with what we've seen. He said, this irregular heart rhythm and the scans we took on ECG, what you've got an enlarged heart muscle. So a lot of athletes or fit people have obviously got a strong heart, but the thickening on my right side of my heart was becoming too thick, and it was blocking the valve. So the valve obviously pumping the blood around the heart and the oxygen around the body, it was blocking that. So I said, okay. He said, I had no problems. And I thought, not that I can remember. So I remember going down to like the London Heart Hospital, and like, Professor McKenna, like top fella, if you Google him, he's the main man. And he, within 2 minutes, he just said, listen, you're not playing again. I was like, what? He went, there's no way he said, I'm amazed nothing's happened to you. So I was like, what? He said, so he showed me it all down. I'd done every test possible. They were injecting like dye into me heart and taking, you know, whatever, all the things.
I've had one of them done where they inject it into
so they do that. What did they do it for? So
with mine, it was to do with my leg, and it was so that they could see where the blood flows.
Yeah, so they were doing that, and then they had me on a treadmill with all the wires on me, ECG, everything you can think of.
And like a ticking time bomb, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, so when he said that, I mean, like, I knew the Wigan.
How old are you at this, sorry?
So I'm probably 20, left there in 20, 21, 21 at the time. And I remember, so like, the Wigan fella thought he was skating around the edges, didn't want to tell me. The physio at Wigan was obviously, didn't want to say. I even thought like Dr. Modi didn't actually want to tell me, because he probably thought, well, we're going to have to make sure this is right, because we're stopping someone's career here, type of thing. So I don't really want to be the person that pulls the plug on it. So when I went down, he just said, listen, no, there's no way. He said, listen, I can't stop you, but I'm going to have to be honest with the people that are trying to sign you, and I strongly recommend you stop playing. So I was like, okay. We were getting the train back, just thinking, what the fuck's happening here? So I dealt with all this shit at Everton, thinking, I sort of got my head round it, thinking I'm going to have a career anyway at Wigan or whatever. And then that got pulled away from me, so I was thinking, fuck, what am I going to do here? So you're
still a young man as well, aren't you?
21.
So, so I'm still like, and I'm thinking, so my head's all over the place. And then it was ongoing for a few months, and he was still investigating different things. I weren't giving up. I was like, listen, you need to find a solution for this, and surely you can't stop me playing. I actually had legal advice from the PFA, because I was actually saying, you know, if you stop me playing, you know, I'm going to get lawyers involved to sort of, at the time, now I'm thinking, what the fuck was I doing? But at the time I was thinking, you can't stop me playing. I didn't know what.
At this point as well, mate, had it happened to Mark Vivian Fowey? So
he passed away then, which got...
So this had happened to him?
So Mark died, and that's why it got highlighted. Before Mark, they probably would have said, listen, go on then. You know, it's at your own risk that you play. But because what happened with Mark, and it was exactly what I had.
That was, he just literally dropped dead in the pitch, didn't he?
So no one was like, and from then onwards, any medical that got done after that, there was no like, you know, grey areas or anything that got flagged up. You know, had a big red flag on there, and you had to deal with that problem. So it went on for a few months, and then...
Were you thinking of options to like... Sorry to interrupt you there. Were you thinking of options of like... I know you talked about lawyers and that sort of thing, but were you thinking... I know you've got a pacemaker now, but like, at that time, were you thinking, surely there's like something that they can do, and then I'm tip top?
I was just thinking, you can't stop me playing football. That's all. I was just saying, you can't stop me playing. It's different from like. So I listened to Sean Idale's podcast, which is that's different because Sean would have knew that his body was everything he'd been through. He knew he couldn't play at the level.
I guess you're feeling fine.
I was fit. I was like in great nick. I'd actually like got myself even fitter because I had something to prove. So I was like, and I was always, bleep tests at Everton. I was always like completing them. I was like the fittest person at Everton. There was nothing of me. I could run all day. I had no complications whatsoever. So I was always like challenging them. So I was like, you can't stop me playing. So that was it's foolish thinking back now because it got worse like the older I got. But so I then because they couldn't sign off for me to be a professional footballer, I then had an option to play part-time football, which again is stupid thinking back now because I shouldn't have done it. But there was a chance for me to play part-time football or semi-professional because they don't do medicals and. They don't.
Even though you knew that.
Yeah, and I was. Listen, I was like, fucking no. I actually thought I signed for a team called TNS in the Welsh League. So they're like the best team in the Welsh League, but the Welsh League's like, I'm not great. But my mate was the manager, and loads of Scousers played for them, and he said, "Come and play for us. We're playing Manchester City in the Europa League." So I thought, I don't really want to play for TNS. I've just come from Everton, England, and TNS, do me a favour. But I thought, you know what, I might go and play for them while doing all this investigating, and if I get fit and then we sort this out, I'll come back. And I remember like the PFA offered me a payout, but I knew if I took the payout, I'd never be able to come back. So I was like, no, you're okay. I'll give you a pension. No, listen, I'm okay. It's because I was hounding him every day. Where's this lawyer? What's going on? And I think they wanted to just say, you know what, you're deluded. You're not getting, there's your payout. Fucking be tired.
What, as an age kind of projected your earnings over your years?
Yeah, so it wouldn't have been like Sean. Sean's was completely different, but they would have paid me something and then me pension. Or I didn't get that far with them, to be honest. I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm going to train here. They're still investing. They couldn't give me a definitive answer of what was going on.
Yeah.
They just kept investigating what was going on. So that at the time they were saying, well, it's strange because you've got all this, but you're not having any palpitations or blackouts or anything. So they were sort of like, if I had all them, so I would have said, you know what, I'm getting blackouts and palpitations, shortness of breath. They would have said, done, signed off. But because I was like, listen, I'm fit, I'm healthy, and they were actually looking at me saying, well, we're a little bit confused here because we're amazed that you've had no sort of like episodes of any of this. So I was like, so that would have made things easy for them. So at the time when I went to TNS, I was just playing for a little bit, and then I got comfortable, and this was going on for ages, and then I just thought, I'll just stay here for a bit. I was getting paid all right money, it was local to me, it was easy, and I sort of just didn't like, I don't actually remember playing it, but I played there for like nearly, it was a couple of years. It's not like in a couple of months. I ended up staying there whilst all this was going on. I actually can't remember playing football for them. That's how mad.
Played against Liverpool as well.
Played against Liverpool.
Really?
I said to my dad, I said to my dad, what happened? I played against Liverpool. He went, yeah. And Anfield, he went, yeah. And he went, I can't remember. He went, yes, we played in that. And I remember playing in the away leg because we played, because TNS couldn't the stadium weren't big enough. We went to play at Wrexham. So I remember playing against like Gerrard and Alonso and stuff like that.
That's mad.
I hit the post as well.
Did you?
I'll send you a video. Balls come to me and I've hit it like as sweet as you can hit it. Pepe Reina's jumped, missed it, hit the post, come back behind them. So he couldn't hit him and went in. And that would have made it 1-0, I think. And then they rested Gerrard because he'd already scored an hat-trick at Anfield against us. So the game was over. And then he come on and he was just a fucking different level, Steve. He was just, even when I played against Anfield, I thought, all right, well, listen, I'm as fit as you. I haven't played at the level you're playing at for a while. Can't be that good, type of thing, you know what I mean? Because it's not like Wayne. Wayne was unstoppable. You couldn't, because if you got close to him, he was too strong, he was too quick, he was too skillful. I thought, and when you played him, he was just like, different level. Him and Alonso was just like
insane.
As soon as you got close to him,
you played against them too, mate.
That's quality.
That's a,
the team was amazing. So you remember, like, and the profile on that game, because they'd won the Champions League.
I was going to say, this was 2006 then, wasn't it?
Yeah, so they won the Champions League. The reason we ended up playing them is because Everton had finished fourth.
Yeah, Liverpool finished fifth that season, It was only the top four, wasn't it?
That's right,
because we'd won it, we got in it.
And then Everton, obviously, they made Yeah, they made the 5 positions, didn't they? So instead of starting like whatever round it is, like the 3rd round, they come in like the 1st round with like teams like us and like teams in Ireland, lower league teams at these countries. So yeah, played against Gerard, Alonso. Who else played? Morientes, Lewis Garcia. It was unbelievable to see the team that won the Champions League final. It was unbelievable. That was the only game I actually remember a little.
Why can't you remember it?
I was going to say, yeah, that was my question.
I don't remember it. I do not remember one game. And I played like, I think I played 80 games. So I'm not talking like 5 games. I actually can't remember it.
So when you say you can't remember that, you just can't remember playing. You can remember your personal life, but you can't.
No, I can't. So when I say can't remember, I remember everything that went on there, but I don't remember the games
and stuff.
So I speak to people now and say, yeah, you played again. Can't remember. But at Everton, you ask me any game at Everton, I'll tell you how I performed in that game.
Never mind how I wasn't that arsed as much?
We weren't arsed at all. We had way in it. I just couldn't. I probably had the handbrake on playing, and I was still good enough to play at that level. And that's not me saying I'm brilliant. The level was that poor for what I was used to, and I just didn't. I was doing my own thing. I was like, I went preparing for games on a Saturday, but I'd turn up and play, do well. Fitness levels had dropped. I'd lost interest, but I thought, if I stop playing, I'm never going to get back into proper football, and I'm never going to. What am I going to do? Because I'm still getting paid all right money at this club. So,
and you hadn't had a pacemaker fitted by this point? No, not at all.
The only time I had to stop playing through the medical team is when I went through every player, whether he was semi-pro, professional, amateur, had to get a certain ECG done. So TNS didn't know I had any heart problems. I'd kept that from. I didn't tell them at all. Now it's obvious because I've got a big machine, so you can't keep that a secret. But at the time, because it was like semi-professional, my mate was the manager. It was like he was made up to have me thinking, well, I've got a good.
Did you not tell your mate? Did you know?
No, they knew, but they weren't bothered. They weren't asked. The manager weren't asked.
Now, imagine if you fucking just died.
Well, that's what he basically said. Listen, play. If anything happens, we don't know about this type of thing. That's the way they looked at us. Like,
hey, mate, play. Yeah. If you drop dead,
we just act surprised. Go, fucking hell, I can't believe he's dropped dead. So so that's what it was. Sounds mad when you think back. And only now when I've had real issues with my heart, and I feel quite lucky about it. I was thinking, what on earth was I doing? But at the time, when he found out, got flagged up, and I went, listen, I've known about it a little bit, but acted a bit daft, and he said, listen, we can't continue. You can't continue playing. Stop me playing. I remember at that time I didn't have any problems at the time then, and then what I'd done when I left there, I went to Australia. I just thought I need to fuck off to Australia and just go and play. Another mate of mine was a manager, an English fella. Was managing a team out in Melbourne, and said, come over. Again, didn't know about this, because it's not like you can't Google me, and you might, if it was happening now with a young player, you'd probably see all this, so it weren't like news or not, it was all going on behind the scenes. So I remember going to Australia for play football out there. That was my last team of play. Yeah,
it's mad how the love of football over your health has took you to the other side of the world.
That's where I went.
I want to play football.
I was just going everywhere. It was like, catch me if you can. I was thinking, if I can't go, I'm going to go to Brazil. I'm just going to keep going until they catch me. Yeah. But so when I went to Australia, I loved it out there. It was brilliant. Football was all right, but it was just a place to get away. I think I was just running away from everything. You know what I mean? Truthfully, because I went there and I thought, left my family behind, and my nan was quite sick at the time. But she'd always said to me, listen, like, go and play football, come over there, like, you can't be here, I'll be alright. So that she passed away when I was on my way back, so I hadn't seen her for like a year. I was away for a year, yeah. And then in the summer, so it was our winter out in Australia, I thought I'd come back and see my nan. I knew she weren't well, and I was getting calls from my dad saying, listen, your nan's not well. So I thought, I'm going to come back. And when I was coming back, I couldn't get a simple like stop off flight and get home. They took me to Bangkok, and I thought I'll stay for a few days and just have a bit of a break, because it was winter where I'd been. I thought if I get a little bit of sun, a couple of days, bit of a break, and then come back to see me now. And I remember I had a pay-as-you-go phone with an Australia SIM card, and to Thailand, just got a Thailand SIM card, and it texted like me dad, my brother, and a few people saying, listen, I'm here for a few days, if you need anything, give me a shout, because my Australian phone weren't working. And I remember going back to the room, and had about 4 missed calls off my mum's house. Obviously recognised the number, and I knew what had happened without even making the call. So I just remember walking down the beach and just like going, just knew what was coming. I thought, I can't even ring my dad, I don't know what's going on. Because I thought my dad never rings me ever. Know what I mean? Even now, my dad very rarely rings me. He'll text me and we'll have but he'll never ring. So I went back to the room and he just said, listen, your nana. I went, I know. And then that was the hard thing, because I was coming back to see her, to then see her and then get back to Australia. I'd signed like another contract at Australia and I thought, I'm staying there. It's perfect for what I want to do at the minute. I don't want to stay in Liverpool. What the fuck am I going to do in Liverpool type of thing? So so she passed away and I come back, and then at the fellas out in Australia saying, do you want to come back over, what's going on? I was like, give me a bit longer, you know what I mean? Because not only like dealing with my nan like passing away, but I hadn't seen my family for a year. And my little nephew had just been born. He was like, I'd seen him like a couple of months old when I left, and then he was like just like 14 months old. So I thought, it's tough going back to Australia now. I always said I'd go back, and then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you know what, I'm probably going to have to stay, you know, and get going. But I knew at that point I couldn't play football in England, so I was like, I'm done. I've retired, yeah. So that would have been, what was I, 25 or something? Yeah, it would have been 25.
You retired at 25,
yeah.
It's about 11 years ago, 2009-ish.
Yeah, 2000, it would have been, 25, 11 years ago.
And then you literally just, and then did you have anything, so you make that decision, I suppose, because usually if you make a decision you think you're already one step ahead going, I'll stop now and then do something else, but that didn't even cross your mind, or no? On
what to do.
Literally.
No, financially I was okay. I made a little bit of money on Australia, so I was always quite lucky that I was always like financially okay. I say okay, I always had to go and do something, but I had a little bit to always like, you know, buy myself a little bit of time, or not, of course, not go cap in hand anywhere. So I was always a bit fascinated by agents, even when I played the game, you know, when you were around the training ground and with the players, and so I was always like.
And did you have one, or did your dad always keep looking after you?
Yeah, I had a guy, so the PFA give you like, they have their own agents. They still do it now. So if you don't want an actual agent, they sort of provide on it. So they provided one for me, and he didn't have to do a lot, to be fair. So it's not, you know, I know some people blame their agents and say, oh, did this, that and the other, and they blame them for the career going wrong, rightly or wrongly. I didn't have an agent where I needed anything. So my dad done my deal. He couldn't have done an agent couldn't have done a better deal than what we got. And then when coming out the game, I was just like, I didn't need an agent to do much for me. One agent got me a boot deal. I was contracted to Umbro for 5 years, so I was actually getting paid for Umbro when I was retired.
Really?
I was on a 5-year contract, so like they were still sending me boots. So I'm sat me and mum was like, I fucking sound them, Lead, you want them, or give them to your mates? Still getting paid. Yeah, I signed a 5-year deal at Umbro.
So when you're thinking about potentially an agent's thing, help your personal health as well, is that all right?
So at this time, strangely, I mean, I know why now, but because my because my body, my heart was always like working as an athlete, or you know, it was always pumping blood around the body. When I stopped playing, because it gets used to that pattern, it was still doing that. Even though I'd stopped playing, I weren't doing anything physical. So it was making things worse, because it was still working at the same pace, thinking it needed to, you know, was it being used to, obviously it was, that was the pattern it was used to. And then the first time I remember, I was in my mum's, and I'd been away on holiday, and I come back, and I remember being on the couch and getting like shooting pains, like I thought I was having a heart attack on the couch, and my mum come down, and at this point I didn't even tell my mum and dad the extent of these injuries. That they knew I had heart problems, but they didn't know the extent and things like that. I kept a lot from them. I still do, to be fair now. And there's times where like my mum would ring me in the past and go, I didn't know you were in hospital. Someone else told me you were in hospital. And times I'd go on like the local doctors by mine, forgetting a mate works on reception, and go, oh, Stephen's been in again. What's going on with you? I'm like, Mum, listen, I don't want to worry you, because my mum's a big worrier, and she was quite poorly at times when we, you know, I didn't want to worry her. Sure. So I was never like, and I'm quite an introvert person anyway. I'm never like one that lets everyone know my business. So I was always quite like that. But at the time, so yeah, it was when the first time I remember like having any problems was on that couch. I remember Mum coming down, what's up? And I actually told my mum I had stomach pains because I thought if I mention my heart, she'll just like worry like mad. So I went to the hospital and I didn't even mention my heart to the hospital people. I actually told him I had stomach pains and he went, you know what, where have you been? I went, I just got back on holiday.
Oh no.
What have you ate? I went, whatever. He went, it sounds like a bit of food poisoning this. I knew it weren't. I talked because it felt like my heart was burning when I was sitting there because it felt like someone had like shot me and like just like a burning feeling. I was like, so I didn't really tell my mum, so I thought I know she'll just worry and I don't want to worry it. You know, I know she's a big worrier. So that was like the first time, but then there was loads after that where like I'd nearly crashed my car. I woke up in the ambulance in the Royal and I had a white t-shirt on, I was covered in blood. So I literally woke up in the hospital like, what the fuck's going on? And the only thing I remember is slowly like blacking out on my car. So I said like the person I was with, what the fuck's happened type of thing. My mum was there, so I could hear my mum. So I'm like coming around, my mum's screaming. I'm like, what's happened? And like, she went, no, you mounted, the ambulance people are saying, listen, we found your car mounted on the pavements and you slumped over, type of thing. So the ambulance got me. And
these are the things that they'd mentioned. The doctors had said, you know, we're surprised. This happened. That was another time, and then they were on me then. So they were like, listen, we need you in. We need you doing this. We need you doing that. Don't do anything. And I had a few episodes where like, quite a few within like probably a 6-month period where I was having like blackouts and palpitations, shortness of breath. Like I really couldn't. Like there was times where like I'd wake up in the middle of the night. So they put a recording device on me where it's like like a phone, clipped it to like your waist or whatever, and then all the patches are on you.
For 24 hours?
Yeah, 24 hours, and then it went to like 40, and it was like a week in the end where they flagged up everything. And then when I gave it back, the fella, he just said, listen, we're going to have to do something here. Something's going to happen and it'll be too late before we do anything. So he said, what we'll do first and foremost, we'll do an ablation where they put like a wire through your groin and shock your heart and sort of try and reset it. Sounds probably more graphic than it is. Yeah. It's not. I was sat up watching it. I was actually watching on the monitors. They need you awake to speak to you, so like prodding the heart, and it's weird. It's like a burning thing. So I'm like, you feel like, yeah, feel that. Yeah. Anything happened, yeah. And then they obviously say like lie down, and then I don't know how long it just felt like forever, but like a shooting pain. So they sort of reset your heart, and then they looked at the results and said that hasn't worked, so we can't do it again. So we're going to look at what we're doing. So again, this is ongoing. So this is like my heart problem's been going on for years and years. Not something like you go, so obviously like yourself, you had something happen to you, deal with it, and then you've got the recovery, and then you've got to rebuild your life type of thing. Mine was like an ongoing thing for years and years. And then I remember they do their operation, which like they said, if you don't have, try this operation, and if it doesn't work, you need to get a pacemaker. Now I thought a pacemaker was like the end for you. I thought like, get a pacemaker, you're on your way out, because I only thought like, but they were telling me, listen, only normally like elderly people get that. So I don't want the pacemaker. What's next? We said, what we'll do, we've done an operation where they trimmed the heart muscle. So they actually trimmed the heart muscle to make it thinner, to make sure that the valve could start pumping the blood round. So trimmed that.
Did you just open your chest up for that?
Yeah, so they cut me open there, and then they basically just trimmed. It's probably about that much, probably like millimetres type of thing. Done that, and then a few months went by, and again I was like struggling a little bit. It was happening more and more, and it was happening when I was asleep.
Were you panicking? Like, were you thinking like, I would be
not fucking shitting yourself?
I'd be the fucking first one.
No, what was the worst? The only thing I panicked about, sounds mad, but what they were saying to me, if you don't get this under control, if the oxygen stops going to your head and around your body, it can lead to like brain damage and stuff like that. And that terrified me, because I thought, fucking hell, imagine. I went bothered about when he was saying like sudden death, that didn't scare me, funny enough, because I was like, I don't know, it was weird, but I thought, if that happens, that happens. Because I was like, listen, if it happens, it happens.
Well, I just don't want to live my life just like,
yeah, just thinking, listen, it won't happen. I was thinking it won't happen. You know what I mean? I was actually thinking it won't happen. But when he started saying, if the oxygen stops going to your head and around the body, probably you can be brain damaged. Now that I was like, oh, fucking imagine, if that happens, and then I'm alive, but I'm brain damaged. And
did you have a girlfriend at this point, or a wife, or
no.
Have you seen anyone now?
No. And now I've got a partner now and kids and that, but at the time I didn't. So I was always like, lived on my own. I had like apartments like down the Albert Dock where I used to live, so I was all on my own. So I was always like keeping it to myself. And there's times where like, I probably told my brother a few times or my sister, but I'd always say, don't tell me.
I'm the opposite, mate. I would be ringing me dad, fucking shit myself, mate. Oh, dad, fucking get in now, take me to the hospital, I'm fucking dying.
Yeah, no, it's, so after that, they just said, listen, the last resort is a pacemaker. We can't do any more. We're going to do the pacemaker. So I was like, okay, do it. So I went to, again, I went to London. I was quite lucky that I'd got a good relationship with the people in Broad Green, and they looked after me, and just because I was in there that often, that we, you know, probably like you, with people who you've worked with, you become friends with them. So they ended up sending me to London, got that pacemaker done, and then it's been better since, a lot better. You know what I mean? Touch wood. So that was.
So how does it affect your life, like daily now then?
It doesn't really. Now and again, I'll get like a shooting pain or shortness of breath and palpitations, but I've managed, like, through techniques that they teach you. So like normally, like, so if you got the same palpitations I've got, you probably panic and go, what's this and that, and worry yourself, and all of a sudden you panic yourself, and then everything goes 10 times worse.
Yeah.
I can sort of control my breathing a little bit, and sort of like get on, and obviously the pacemaker will kick in if there's any problems. But I've been quite lucky the last few years where I've had a good little run, where I've had no real problems, touch wood, where.
And you can still exercise and things, or?
They don't advise it. So again, I do my own thing if I can, but I don't do a lot.
No, but I mean, you look fit. And
no, what I did do, I've done a lot of swimming. I'd always do swimming. What I've done a lot more of recently is, certainly probably during lockdown when the gyms are shut, is doing a bit of running. I'm now trying to play a little bit of footy with the over. I've qualified for the over 35s. APH team from my brother plays for them. I played a game last 2 weeks for them. 2 weeks ago, played for them. I was just itching to play, and I thought, if I don't play now, there'll be a time where I actually, you know, physically can't play.
Sure.
Enjoyed it. Couldn't walk after it. Every muscle just went on. The lads were going, yeah, you play forever, you be sound. Go in there. But listen, I played. The last game I was 12 years ago. You used to play every week and train every, you know, Tuesday, Thursday. So I had my calf, my groin, my arm, everything that could have went on me. But I enjoyed it because I thought, I mean, it weren't like, you know, the standard was the standard, but it was just like being with the lads again. And it's just, even as a game coming up the weekend, I want to play in it. It's because like a team called the Allerton, a big team in like the Sunday League. Allerton are playing like our lads, it's like top of the league clash, and I want to play in it because it's just the fact it's going to be a big game.
Yeah.
I just want to play.
Course,
I don't whether. Yeah.
Mate, you should speak to Mick on straight from the off. Have you heard the podcast?
Yeah, do you know what? I text Mick because every single person that's been on there, I've played with.
Well, I was going to say, just it's all about specific.
That's great.
So you have loads to talk about.
I know them, all the lads. I always text them saying, like, you know, Leighton McGivern. I know Leighton was at Everton with me when we were kids. I know, like, Paul Brown, who's been on it. Nearly all the people who've been on his things have been on.
It's just that I've played with. I mean, I will be nowhere near it, but that kind of brotherhood I had from the Marines, like I see Carragher now in the gym and Bradley Orr as well.
Yeah, I know Bradley.
Same with them too, and they just say like that. They go in that gym, you know, it's fucking hilarious in that gym. It just replaces, you know, what they've had in the career.
Yeah,
that routine as well.
The routine, I guess. Yeah.
And then two lads. Obviously, Carragher had an unbelievable career. Bradley had a brilliant career. You know, done brilliant. Bradley, he's a good lad. Bradley, I know him and his family really well, and he played in the Liverpool team with my brother. So him and my brother are really good mates. Brad had a good career, but like they're now coming to terms with like life after football, after having like brilliant careers at like 34, 35 whenever they retired. So I had to do that like 15 years earlier. You know, my career was that. So I've sort of like, but now I'm like, I don't miss the fitness side, I just miss the game. Like that game of the week, it was like, I was just like, again, it was like, I mean, if you would have seen like the opposite, even us, we just didn't look like a team. We just like over 35. It was like, it was funny, but there's some good players there, and I was just good being in the dressing room, getting my boots
even in your face, like your face is like, you're not talking about it.
Boots. Rang me mates at Nike. I've got most of my players are sponsored by Nike. I said, listen, I need a size 8. I need the best boots you got, not white, just a black pair for me. But listen, don't do black. Sent me a black pair with like a yellow. I'm like, they'll do, yeah. I was buzzing, getting my boots back on shin. Had to ring me brother. Oh, listen, I've got no shin pads. Have you got any shin pads for me? Oh, yeah,
that's so quality. But mate, you must fair play. You must have. Touch. Obviously, you've been playing so long and you haven't had any problems and apart from obviously blackouts, things like that, mate, you're certainly lucky, because we had Dave Downey on, and he had a heart on a football pitch, yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Well, two family members of mine have passed away. One through a heart condition. Passed away playing five-a-side football in McGull. My cousin and my other first cousin died at the age of 23. Probably, Andrew's could be wrong, 4 or 5 years ago, 23. Now, they're not saying it's heart related. My cousin was heart related. So I feel lucky now. After like being like not thinking straight and
a bit blasé about it.
Yeah. But, I feel lucky that, because since then there's a lot of players that have passed away. It's become, it's probably not more common, it's just more highlighted now.
Definitely more highlighted,
the scary terms that they use, like sudden death in players. So like certain like conditions, they don't like link it to like your death, sudden death. But if you type in hypocardiomyopathy, it basically comes up linked to sudden death in athletes. That's like one of the big things that'll be in bold writing. So I feel lucky now that I'm healthy, and I've got no limit, not limited to do it. Like, no one's telling me you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, you've got to eat that, you've got to have a load of tablets. I've had like beta blockers and all them over the years, but I just went, they're not doing nothing for me.
What does a pacemaker? If your heart stops, it then kicks in. Right.
So it'll restart it, or it'll keep the rhythm at a certain pace, or get it back to that way. Again, I'm not a big expert. I've got the condition. I don't really overthink it. I don't even look at some of the things. That was my outlook on it, because the more you look at, the more it worries you. Just ask Dean about that. Dean will have a bit of a story on it.
So that's the kind of health side of thing then. So like we kind of just touched on then. So when you kind of come to terms with like job wise and career wise, again, you're still a young man. You said you've always been kind of fascinated with agents and stuff. I was always quite fascinated and took an interest in them, because they were always around. And to be fair, probably as a young lad, they always looked like they were doing well for themselves. I never really seen like an agent that was struggling. They always had nice cars, probably suits back in the day, and they always looked like they were doing well. So it was always something that I thought, I wouldn't mind looking at that. Obviously, didn't think I'd finish my career so early. And then what sort of like got me involved in it. A mate of mine who worked up in Hale, up in Cheshire, was representing a lot of the Man United players. He was quite young at the time, and I just said, "Do you mind if I come up and just have a coffee with you?" He was like, "Yeah, of course." I said, I want to become an agent." He said, "Well, do you know what you've got to do?" I said, "I know there's this exam. I've looked the exam up." He said, "No, but it's not only that. You've got to pay £100,000 bond. So it's like a deposit. So like, if you're renting a house, you leave a deposit. And if you leave that house with any damages, they use the deposit to pay." So what they do with the £100,000, what they did do, is that if you've got any contract disputes with a club or a player or FIFA or whatever, they use the money out of that to cover all this. And then the next year, when your insurance is due, you've got to top that up if you've used it.
Right.
Obviously, when you leave the FIFA, you get your money back type of thing. But you had to have £100,000. So I was like, okay, we're getting 100 grand from here. You know what I mean? I thought, so what I'd done, I'd rang the PFA and said, "Listen, I'm thinking about becoming an agent. I know I am entitled to my pension, and I was going to wait for my pension at 35. So I thought I should be okay, and if I need it, I'll always try and get it." So I got me the PFA money, got me pension and the payouts and things that they kept offering me, which covered that. So I had £100,000, paid that, and then I said, I need to obviously do my exam. And then when I looked at the exam, we were talking about it before, wasn't it? It was just like...
Fucking looked like hieroglyphics.
It was just madness. It had nothing to do with football. So like, there was football questions in there, but it didn't matter that I played football. It was just like, as you say, it was like compensation rights. It was like, FIFA disputes, FIFA regulations, court of arbitration, all this. Just like non-football related questions. And I was looking at it thinking, well, I remember downloading it. I had to print it off at the time, and then come home like that with all like the schedules and all the pages, and it must have been that many pages that you had to study. And I was thinking, this is unbelievable. There's no way.
I remember seeing it, and it said like, if so and so team A signs a player from like fucking South American, but then they come to Europe via Africa, and then they play. How much compensation does the team in South Africa get if the player plays till 25 and he earns this much?
So that's what you needed to know. So like you'd work it out, going like, okay, so what category the team in South Africa from. So that category, every year that player's been at that club in Africa, it's like X amount per year. So let's say it's like players been at the club from 12 to 15 or 12 to 20. So he's been at the club 8 years. What category is that club in? Okay, club X is in that category. £10,000 a year. That's what they're entitled to if he moves to this club. But then if he moves to that club and then moves on to another club, and then all of a sudden you've got to work out, let's like maths, it's like numbers, and you think, then you've got to break it down, then you've got to know what category every club is in. And then it was just a minefield for me. I was like, I thought there's no way I can navigate around this year. I thought there's not a chance. So what I'd done, I thought, I knew my mate weren't going to help me much. He was like, he probably thought, I've got enough going on, I don't want to sort of help you. But I had a mate of mine who used to play football with called Andrew McGregor, who's a lawyer at Brabner's now, I think, and an agent doing really well for himself. We were doing a little bit of work together before I had my licence, so I said to him, listen, if you don't mind, I'm going to try and do this exam, can you help me? So, and he was good as gold, he went, listen, whatever you need. And then we basically he had an office on Old Hall Street, and he basically, like, in an evening, I'd go to the office and do like, it's like night school, I'd do like 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock with him, and he just talk me through everything, break it down, put it into like simple terms for me. And then I'd go away because I had no work at the time. I'd literally go to like Costa on Old Hall Street. I lived in the Albert Dock at the time, so I'd just walk to Costa on Old Hall Street, and I'd see that like I was in university or school. I'd go in at 9 o'clock, get me coffee, and I'd work till like 11, and then I might go and have a bite to eat, but I'd then come back and I purposely had like my own itinerary because I thought, if I don't study this, there's no way I've got it, because it was not like you're driving your theory test where after a couple of weeks you get in, it's, what is it like, multiple choice, so you've got half a chance of getting it. This was like, I thought I want to do it. And one of the things that they'd done, which is, it was only held once a year. So, and if you failed it twice, you can no longer pass.
Really, yeah. So two times and then you're out.
And you're out. So it's not like you go with your theory, like you go, I'll ring up again, I'll do it next week. So I thought, I want to do it, and I was like determined to do it. And in the end, I went to Wembley Stadium where they do it. I remember getting an email, and I was like, that was made up. I thought, fucking hell. I was like proud of myself, thinking, fucking hell. I was actually ringing me mate saying, fucking hell, we've passed it. I said, because he was the one that helped me. He said, we've passed it. And he was buzzing and all that. So it was good. And then you get your licence, which at that time was like gold. Do you know what I mean? To be a licensed agent, I think there was only one or two agents in the country younger than me. So not only was I a good age ex-footballer, at the time I'd already done my coaching badges just to have them, because to get me out the house. I had no intention of using them, but I thought the PFA are putting them on for me, and I can use them in, as an agent, I can use them down the line, or I can use them in my field to talk to the players and what their coaches tell me. So I was qualified as them. So I got my licence, paid the £100,000, got my licence, and I thought, I'm away now.
Is it networking to fuck then, is it?
I was just going to say that. I bet it's all about networking.
Yeah, it was, but the funny thing about it is what I thought, being like really naive, I thought, okay, so who do I know? So I looked at my phone book. No way, play with him, right? So I'd ring like my old teammates.
You fucking ringing Rooney straight away.
Wait, listen, need a favour. But I rang like a load of my teammates who were probably like either my age, 25, so they're good age, because they've got like probably 10 years in the game. They're not like 35-year-olds. So I remember ringing all of them, and it was like, I was like, listen, I've got my licence, fucking hell, fair play to you and all that, mate. I said, listen, I'm looking on getting some players, what about you? And I was getting like, do you know what, mate, I've been with my agent for years, and he's done all right by me, and he's sound and all that, but you're brand new type of things. So I was thinking, all right, and I got that off a few of them, and I would get it now, because it's like, if you wanted someone like doing surgery on you, you wouldn't go with the fella who just got his badge out of uni the next day. You go with someone who's highly recommended,
of course,
plaques everywhere, knows the stuff, done this procedure or done the deals a million times. You wouldn't go with someone because he's your mate and he's sound him. So I was thinking, fucking, I'm so exhausted every player that I could possibly sign. I thought, see what happens then. We'll just keep going. I thought, I know I'll get some eggs. I thought, and then I thought, what? Why don't I look at like the young players? Because I'm brand new out the game. I can relate to them. I can be a bit of a mentor for them, and I feel like I'm, with the age gap from them to me, get along a little bit, and I can take them for a bite to eat, and have that relationship with them. They'd understand, and I can say I've been there, and I know exactly what you're going through. So I remember going to like loads of games, but I remember going to like a Liverpool under 16 game at Liverpool Academy, Liverpool v Everton. So I'm sat there with my little notepad. I wouldn't dream about taking a notepad to the game now, but I had the little notepad. People must be looking, I think, this fella come us writing things down. I remember looking at the game, thinking, okay, and then I remember looking around, and I knew all the agents because I knew who they were. There weren't that many, but there was like anyone who's an agent I knew, because I'd studied who was doing what and what, because I wanted to know what area I was in and what was what. And I remember looking around thinking like, oh, he's an agent, he works for like a big company, and they're agents, and there's another agency, and there was like probably like 6 or 7 agents sitting here behind me. So I'm looking at it thinking, fucking, there's a lot of agents coming in, and some of these like from London. Not just like Liverpool. So at the time, that's why like I think you had like Raheem Sterling was at Liverpool. So you had like a London agent who brought him to Liverpool, and so it was competitive. So I remember looking around thinking, there's like probably 8 agents here. There's probably like scouts who work for agencies and recruitment guys, all here that I don't know. I thought there's 22 players on the pitch. There's probably like 2 or 3 that are really any good, and I was like I wouldn't just sign anyone, because I was thinking like, I know he's not going to make it, because I knew the game inside out, and I thought there's probably like 2 or 3 players that might make it. So all these agents are sniffing around. I've probably got a small chance of getting one. And then I'm thinking, then so say that out of them 3 players at 16, the probably success rate of them making it in the first team is probably like 1%, going from like 16 right through and then breaking into the first team. So I was looking at me like thinking, so because it was my own business that I'd set up, I was thinking, if I'm looking at this as a business now, I'm looking at these players thinking, well, there's probably 3 on the pitch that are any good. 1% chance of them making it. So what have I got? I've got to try and I've got to be better than one of these agents for them to sign for me, and they're all established big companies, all got big players. If I'm lucky enough to sign him, I've got to be lucky that he's loyal to me, because they probably wouldn't get in the first team till 16. They wouldn't get in the first team till like 20, 21. So I've got to hope that they're with me for 4 or 5 years. It's a long time to babysit a young kid, manage the family, manage everything he wants, and then I've got to be even luckier for him to get in the first team and have an impact and do well. So I thought, this can't be my business model, that everything's on a hope that I sign him, hope that he's loyal, hope that he makes it, and there's 1% chance. So I thought, I need to be a bit more creative here and do something a little bit different. I can't just be sat here like every other agent signing these players. If I've got him for 4 years, it's going to cost me money, and he might leave me, and if he doesn't make it, I've wasted 4 years. So I was thinking, I need to be a little bit more, think outside the box a little bit more. So what I'd done is I'd looked at like the transfer windows and all the deals that were going on, and the Premier League and Championship, where I thought that's where the money is. Anything under that, you're not going to make any money as an agent. So, and it's different if someone's paying you. If someone's paying you a wage, you might sign him and you might get your mate and League 2 players in League 1, but
yeah, of course,
if you're getting 5% of like £1,000 a week, you're not going to have much at the end of the month. You're not going to run a business on that. So I thought I need to focus on that. And then I looked at it and I thought, a lot of the deals that are coming into the UK, probably 60, 70% even then, were all foreign players. So I thought, I've obviously got no players at the minute that are foreign, but what I've still got loads of contacts abroad. I've got contacts in Holland and Germany and France. So I was thinking, what I need to do is to then network in here, because I knew everyone here. I knew all the managers, I knew all the coaches, sporting directors, but I could ring them and go, hi mate, you haven't got licensed agents, what are you after? And he might go, we're looking for a number 9, what have you got? I haven't got one, I'll come back if I get one. So it's pointless me making them calls type of thing. So, but I had the ins with the club, but I thought what I haven't got is the players. So I remember I was really good friends with Andy van der Meijden. Remember Andy?
Yeah.
So he's
oh mate,
Google him, Andy van der Meijden.
Get this up a sec. Do you know the article I'm on me and he made John Paul and John Ashton talking about this the other day? He turned round to Drenthe, mate, maybe type in like something like fucking advice to Drenthe or something. So Drenthe went to sign
Am
for
I spelling his
NT, yeah. He says, yeah, do that one.
This one.
Cocaine.
Oh, this is funny. So yeah, Andy van der Meijden coming in. Drenthe was go down a bit. Drenthe basically said, I'm thinking about signing for Everton, and he says, Yeah, he rang him and says, Royston, I hear that you were on your way to Everton. Don't do it, boy, I beg you, don't do it. Liverpool has too many temptations for guys like us. Before you know it, you will be dragged into the nightclubs. Their Bacardi flows and you can ski on the cocaine. And the women, Royston, oh man. Those British women with their short skirts. Then they joined Everton on loan shortly after, but lasted 11 months and has been released in the summer.
Honestly. So what I've done with that, just on Drenthe, I've got a funny story about him. So again, how did I get introduced to Drenthe? I can't remember. Oh, sorry, because he lived in Woolton, so he was renting Ryan Babel's house in Woolton, and a mate of mine ended up around him. I can't remember how we got close, and probably just on the night. I think it was like the lads who were like quite well known in town were looking after him and stuff like that. And he's going through a tough time at Everton because he couldn't get in, but he was still contracted Real Madrid. So my mate said, listen, why don't you meet him? I know you've done a few deals and, tell him what you're doing. At the time, I was spending a lot of time in Dubai. I'd done a few deals out in Dubai when, like, before Dubai was, like, what it is now. It was, like, there weren't many people going over there. And the football was just taking off. I would say taking off. They were just trying to establish a football, a league and
throw money at it.
Throw money, like daft money at it. There was loads of, like, I think it was like Raul played for Real Madrid, was over there, just mega money. But I ended up doing a couple of deals over there, so I had a couple of contacts. And met with Royston. I remember bringing my brother because he was a big Everton fan. I said, listen, go and have a meeting with Drenthe. He's asked me to go around the house, come with me. And me and my brother had gone up there, parked in the house. There's about 5 fellas come out, listen, yeah, you'll see, walk in, there's about another 20 people in the living room. More people in the kitchen.
Scousers or?
Just everyone, like Scousers, people from Holland, just people he just picked up on the way. Just mad. And then he goes, you'll see it, he's in a nightclub. So I was like, what? He went, yeah. So we went out there, me and my brother. We go in the back, he's got like this bit here, but this is like a nightclub on his house. He's built a nightclub, proper extension. But he's only renting it off Ryan Babel. And he's built a nightclub on his house. So I said to me and my brother were laughing. He goes, do you want a drink? And they're on the sheesh pipes, all of them. I can't remember why I had to go. My brother was made up. And I think it was like 2 days before the derby, or the day before the derby, because he'd been left out the derby, the Everton team, because of a problem staying up late. And he said something about a kid and he couldn't have a babysitter. And he goes, do you want a drink? I went, yeah, thinking like a glass of champagne. So give me like a can of like Skull. He just must have went the off and just got whatever. Me and my brother having a can of Skull in Royston's house. So I'm like, so I'm half like, me and my brother laughing, and I said, no, listen, but I was trying to get him signed, and he did this piece of paper, which was like it's called like a mandate, which is like he had an agent, but if they can give you like exclusivity for a club, a player, still do it now, or like it's called a mandate, so basically like a exclusivity for that club or that territory. So what I wanted is exclusivity for Dubai in the UAE, because I had all the contacts over there. So I said, listen, I've got this club in Dubai. They were offering him like a fortune, like £5 million net a year on a 5-year deal, because he was still a big deal. He just played for Real Madrid. And we never ended up doing it, but I remember saying to my brother, listen, come on, we ended up in a nightclub, sitting there for a few hours, like voicing Drenthe, just mad people everywhere. And then so that was Drenthe. My brother was there made up, just looking around thinking, this is unbelievable,
this is insane, this.
But Andy's like my good mate now. I go and see him as often as I can over in Holland, but that was like, he was obviously at Everton, but he was just, people like take the piss at the moment at Andy, or suck the piss over Andy because of his, like, some of his things he'd done here. He come here and he was on like 50 grand a week in years. When was that? Probably 2000 and... When was he? When did he play for Everton? 2041?
13 or something.
There we are.
Yeah, so... Yeah, so he's...
2006.
Yeah, so 2006. He's on big money, and he got a bad injury, and he was living here on his own, so he was out like partying and doing fucking just all kinds of shit, you know what I mean? He was like... But like, what he done, he latched on to like loads of Liverpool people, so he was always out with them. So he got like a bit of a reputation, just being like, a loose cannon. And I remember him actually bringing me saying, I need a favour off you. I said, what? He said, I've lost my Ferrari. I went, what? He went,
just when I got robbed?
Yeah, so he went, I've lost my Ferrari. I went, what do you mean you've lost it? He went, I had an house party, and I lent this fucking lad in my party. I thought it was like my mate's mate, the keys, and he hasn't come back. I said, when was this? He went, 4 nights ago. So like, there was a video going around, wasn't it?
The fucking showcase car park, wasn't it?
So like, I think we'd only just got camera phones, they weren't like they were now. I remember like ringing a few people.
Go on YouTube, it's probably
on there, is it? So he was like, Yeah, he said, I lent it to some lad and I thought he was my mate. I thought it was my mate's mate. He said, if you get it back, let me know. And then this video was going around.
Yeah, Ferrari. Or maybe...
was it Ferrari, Lamborghini? Yeah, Ferrari,
just type
in
a stolen car or something.
It's stolen Ferrari, yeah.
There's a video in the...
I'll try and get you the... Yeah,
that might... Is it, maybe? Yeah, stolen...
Is this it? So this is his Ferrari.
This is his Ferrari.
Yeah.
So someone sent me a video outside the showcase in East Lab.
On the East Lab.
Look at that quality of the camera.
I can't believe it took him 4 days to fucking...
But like, he probably only just woke up. He probably just been on a mad like bender in the house and just woke up anyway. So I went, let me find out. Someone sent me a video and I went, listen, Andy, you're not getting... If you're getting it back, they've wrecked it. Do you know what I mean? Apparently, I showed him this video and he said, leave it. But it's probably like 2 weeks' wage to Andy. Do you know what I mean? He even rang me a few months back saying, listen, can you go... Honestly, do you think I'm making it up? He rang me saying, can you go to the police station? I'll send you some pictures of these watches because my house got broken into. Living over, we had a house over the Wirral, an apartment in Liverpool. He said, I've got about 200 grand's worth of watches that are stolen. I just want to see if they've been handed into Liverpool or they've been confiscated or whatever. And I've got all the codes. He's WhatsApp me like 50 grand Rolex, 20 grand this, like 200 grand's worth of watches. I went, Andy, I'm not going to the police station asking where your watches are. I said, not a fucking chance. He said, this was 10 years ago. I know, but he might have them. He probably still have them, but I thought, I'm not going to the police station asking for your watches.
Just WhatsApp them to me. I'll go and check
there. So I might do. Give me some 5% commission. Yeah. But no, so Andy, so he was me link out in Amsterdam. So I went over there and I just said to him, listen, I've got my license. I want to try and tap into, clubs here and agents. I want you to be the link because over in Holland, he's a legend. Played for Holland in like Euro 2000, Inter Milan. He was like he didn't have the career he should have had because he went to Inter Milan with like Ronaldo, like proper Ronaldo, and he had this. So, but over there, he was still like massive. There was massive respect for him. So he basically walked me into like Ajax, FC20, PSV, like their officers, like the sporting directors and managers, and I'm sat there with like really important people at these clubs that you could never get to. Anyway, but Andy was there, and they're probably laughing about Andy because everyone knew Andy was even over there. They used to laugh at him, but because he was such a likeable person, I got introduced to everyone. And then he said, listen, my agent, he was like still the biggest agent out, and he's got everyone like Van Persie and everyone. He's had every top Dutch player. He said, I'll get you a coffee with him. So Andy brings, I've had a coffee with his agent. So I said, listen, all I want to do, probably not with you because you've got you've got big players. But if there's any players that are sort of like, you've got Van Persie at the time and Wesley Sneijder and all these, obviously I don't want to get, but if you've got anyone a bit less than that, I can try and help you with England. So just formed a relationship with him and doing that. And then Andy's old manager was working for FC20, who he was the sporting director of FC20. So we went to meet him, and I said, listen, again, if I can help you in any way. So we'll tell you what, you can help me. A couple of things. We've got a couple of players that we're trying to get to England. The player has got an agent, but he's not doing a job. But his dad's, the person behind it. You need to get to the dad. So I said, who's the players? We said it was Dusan Tadic. Remember Tadic with Southampton? So I said, okay. I said, well, so Andy knew the dad. Rang the player. He said, sit and meet him. So me, the dad and the player sat there. And he said, there's a couple of people in England, trying to work on behalf of my son. I just sort of blagged and said, listen, I'm the key to it. I made out that like, you need to be with me to get these deals where I know all the clubs in England. Which did, to be fair, but I had no track record, but it just made out that, listen, I've done this a million times, you need to, and he bought into it. And then what I'd done then, working with a lawyer, I ended up taking him to like Southampton for like 7 million. So, but I was working on behalf of the club here in Holland. So what I said to the club is give me 10% of anything I make for you. So whatever fee I get, I want 10%. They were like, no problem at all, but we want a minimum of like 4 or 5 million or whatever it was. So I already I'd done the deal, got paid at both ends. So I was up and running, and I was thinking, this could like be
700 grand, that first deal.
That was the first deal.
So obviously, crazy, isn't it? And you're still on your own. You're still like on your own. Limited company on your own. Yeah.
So I'd done that, but what I had to do after that weren't all mine. Andy had to get paid, rightly so, for introducing the dad and the family. But it was like,
without going into details, like for you and Andy, is that something that you have a conversation with beforehand? You say, if you speak, I want this and that.
Yeah, but the problem in this game, people don't like paying people. It's like in any industry, but in this industry now, where it's like so unregulated, where it's not policed anywhere near what it was like when I was a licensed agent. People just let you get on with it, and you have to have a dispute with the agents. Like if you're an agent, you've shafted me on a deal or took my player, then it's basically down to me and you, and that's why everyone's killing each other. You mentioned someone before who was an agent, who's probably stopped being an agent because you're probably thinking, I can't be bothered with the hassle anymore. And there's someone like, it can be like the Wild West at times. Everyone's killing each other because there's good money available if you get the right deal or the right player. So I just agreed with him, said, listen, if it happens, this is what I'm hoping to get, this is what you get, this is what the dad gets. We need a lawyer. The only reason we got the lawyer involved because I probably weren't confident enough to do the deal. It was a £6 million deal or whatever it was, and I think it was like 40 grand a week or something at the time. So I probably could have done it, but I thought, I don't want to fuck this up here.
Yeah,
not be fair. I thought,
yeah.
And if I just pay him, everything's, we all do well out of it, and I'm up and running. So on the back of that, I ended up working for FC20 again, moving Quincy Promes to Spartak Moscow for about 15 million. That deal was quite different with the payments, and it was another agency who were working with on that. And again, that was just pure coincidence, being in the right place, knowing the right people. I had a contact in Russia through a player who used to play for Everton called Diniar Billy Elektanov.
Yeah,
remember Diniar? So they bought a Russian player for it was Everton's most expensive sign. It was like £6 million, like years and years ago. But he was a Russian player who left Everton and went back to Russia. But I knew him, kept in touch with him. I was always trying to get him back here. And he was me link in Russia, and I knew Russia was paying big money at the time. Samuel Eto'o was out there, loads of big hitters went out there. So what I said to
Roberto Carlos was managing
Roberto went out there, yeah. But I ended up saying to him, and his dad was like an ex-footballer over in Russia, and he was like the first team manager at Spartak Moscow. If I remember, first team manager, one of them. And I told him, said, listen, I've got this player in Holland, I'm working with the agents. What do you think? Put into your people at the club. Rang back and said, we've watched him, he's on our target list, he's high up, what does it look like? And then in the end, I ended up doing that deal with an agent and working with his company. So that was where I was focused, and I thought it was too, I looked at that and thought, this is too easy.
I was going to say, you think this is money for our road list?
I thought this is it. I was just really lucky.
I would have been fucking still reeling off the tab and stealing it.
So I was like, I just looked, it was a lot of luck, and it wasn't because the manager of the sporting director at Southampton was a guy called Les Reed. Now he was my old England manager, so he was like, I had 5 good contacts in England. He was one of them, and when I rang him, they wanted the player. So they never like gone, okay, and you've brought us a player we've never heard of. They actually wanted the player. They just couldn't agree the deal, and he didn't. And the agent was upsetting him for different reasons. So when I come in, I said, listen, I'll broker the deal for you. Just let me get involved to do things properly. I was never going to be greedy because I was just lucky that and happy that I was involved in a deal at this level.
Yeah, of course.
So done them deals, and then that was me. Then I was thinking, I'm not going to sit here and watching like under 16 players at Liverpool and then hoping that 5 years they're going to have a career in League One or the Champions. This is what I'm going to do. And then I spent probably 2 or 3 years really, like I've done deals in France, Germany, Holland. I'm still in Holland like a couple of times a year, if not more, working with people like that. A friend of mine just took the player to Man United from Ajax, Van de Beek, is it?
Van de Beek,
yeah, took him. So he's another good mate of mine who done that deal. So yeah, I just thought that was this is what's going to separate me from the rest, and I'm not doing things like
fair play to you, mate.
It was just something a little bit different.
Yeah, of course.
And even now, I mean, my business model has changed, but even now, anyone who's an agent, I mean, the problem with this, it can be like, you can end up like in a chain of people, so you haven't actually got the player. You sometimes might even have the club, you're just jumping on deals, so people do things the wrong way, and that's why they don't get paid, and things, you end up just chasing your tail for years and years and thinking you've got this player and I'm working on that. And it's a bit like LinkedIn. At the minute you go on LinkedIn, everyone's like saying, I've got a player from Norway, can anyone? And it's just like,
is that what I never knew?
Honestly, I go on LinkedIn and he'll inbox me saying, I've got a player left back, and he'll send you the video of him from like playing in Norway and Italy. Can you get him to England? And even if he's any good, you go back and say, no problem, what's it look like? What's the fee? What do you want? What's the player wants? Let me find out. And then he hasn't actually got the player. It's someone else who's got the player. And then I'm like, leave me alone. Piss off.
This is probably a poor question, but like, because it's probably every deal's different. But as a general rule of thumb, you mentioned that first deal from with Southampton, and you were acting on both ends. But normally, is it just you'll get a percentage of the player's wage, is it, or what the player's deal the player gets, or is it normally both the club as well, or?
Predominantly, you get paid from what the player makes. So player's wage, player's sign-on fee, you get a percentage of that. It's normally 5%. That's what 90% of clubs pay. But depending on what player you've got, you can name your fee. So you can name whatever fee you want, because the player won't pay you the money. The club will always pay you on behalf of the player. So so even though your contract with the player says I take 5% of your earnings and 20% of your commercial opportunity. So if you get him a deal, boot
with
deal,
Nike,
you take 20, 25, 30, whatever percent. That's slightly higher because that falls out the jurisdiction of the FA. So you can sort of make that clause. You can make that percentage different. Commercial opportunities. I know some companies that charge like 40% of your commercial. Some players are not bothered. They're saying, listen, you get me a Nike deal, and you take 40%, I'm happy with the 60 because I'm sponsored by Nike.
Yeah,
some top players will be like, no, you we do 10% or you do 20 or whatever. But in terms of the FA, they put on a contract 5%. So you get paid 5% of the players' earnings, not as bonuses, not as not any like relocation money, anything like that. Just basically is guaranteed money. You get 5% off
of that of the weekly salary.
So if you get me a deal, I'm on 100 grand a week.
Yeah.
Is that 5 grand then coming out of my 100 grand?
No. So what happens is so the club will pay you 5% of that. So the £100,000 a week, you get paid 5% from the club. But how do you do it? They pay you 2.5% player services, 2.5% club services. So it's called a tripartite, which basically means there's 3 parts of the deal. So the player services is here. So you get paid 2.5% for working on behalf of the player, 2.5% for working on behalf of the club. So that bit's sort of, you don't get taxed, or the player won't get taxed on this 2.5%.
Yeah.
But he will get taxed on this 2.5%, even though the club have paid it. Right. He's still got to pay it. He's still liable to pay a tax bill on this 2.5%. So if I take, to keep it simple, if I had £100,000 commission, 50,000 would be from the club services, £50,000 player services. I wouldn't get taxed
on that.
The player wouldn't get taxed on that, but he'd pay 45% on this, and that's why a lot of players fall out with agents, because the agent can say, well, listen, no, I'm getting paid by the club. You're fine, don't worry, and you actually are getting paid by the club, and it says on the contract 5% from the club.
But he just hasn't told him that.
But he hasn't told him, just get ready, because in 18 months' time you're going to get hit with a 40% tax bill. Because some players might say at that point, listen, I'm on 100 grand a week. What's 40% of 50 grand? I'll pay you that, no problem. Some players might say, I'm not paying that, and I have no problem. But if you don't tell the player, and then all of a sudden he gets it with a big tax bill,
trust there then's gone, hasn't it?
He's going to say, well, hang on, you told me you're getting paid by the club and it had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And he's right what he's saying, the agent, but he's not being clear and like saying, just be mindful that there's a tax bill coming. Now, what sometimes you can do with the club is say, we'll give him an extra, loyalty payments, because you can't take a percentage of the player's loyalty payments or an extra bonus of X amount just to cover that bill. So when you say to the player, listen, I'm getting this, you are entitled to pay 40% of this, which looks like whatever it is, £21,000, but I've made that up for you here, so you're getting an extra £21,000 in your bonus that year, or a loyalty payment. Depends what player you've got. Every deal is different, but
I'm guessing obviously the bigger, better the player, the deals become more complex in that sense.
Yeah, so you look at like, I mean, it depends. The better player you've got, the more in demand your player is, the more the player's going to get, obviously. But it's more the club are willing to work with the agents. So at the minute, you look at Jadon Sancho, probably the best player England's got. I know he's out playing in Germany, but for me he's a future Ballon d'Or player. I think he's that good. I think he's going to go and win a Ballon d'Or, because there's no one.
Mad how City let him go, wasn't it?
Well, I know Jadon's family. I know his dad Sean really well, and tried to sign him, but he was already with another agent from London who brought him up. But I think they'd done everything they could. One thing they couldn't do, which he wanted, was sort of guarantee first team football, and City couldn't do that. They've only just They're not even doing that with Phil Foden at the minute, who's another talented player. He's playing a lot now at the minute, but he's, what's Phil, 20? 19, 20?
Yeah, I know Phil's agents.
Phil's...
he's with Owen, isn't he?
Yeah, he's with the lads from Liverpool, yeah. So he's not guaranteed football at the minute. So when Sancho was asking for guaranteed football at 17 at Man City, they couldn't do it. Would they're probably not... Are they kicking themselves now? Probably not, because they can't... They just couldn't. Man City, they're buying a £50 million you know, or whatever. They're buying a ready-made version of you to get success now. You know, Champions League, you know, league success, which is what they want. But the same as Sancho and people like at that level, if football goes back to normal in terms of all the finances, then he's going to be in a position where he's got like, I don't know, 5 or 6, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Liverpool, Man United. Now, if you're in that position, not only is your player getting pretty much everything he wants, but you're not working off 5%. You're probably not working off a percentage. You're probably just making a figure up. You look at Mino Raiola, Paul Pogba's agent, who got £20 million worth of deal. Now everyone's like
that. So he literally just said to the club, "I want 20 million."
Yeah,
like that.
20 million.
That's insane, isn't it?
But at the time, Pogba was obviously like possibly one of the top 5 players in the world, and he's I think how he got paid as well. I think it was more, he had a deal with Juventus to say, "I'll bring you the player for next to nothing from Man United." So when he went from Man United to Juve, they pretty much got him there for nothing. So if I've got a player who's a free agent now, I might say to a club, "Do you know what? I'll bring the player to you, but when he leaves, I want X amount of that sell-on." So if you sell a player for 10 million, I might say I want £1 million. In Paul Pogba's case, it might have been, you know, anything over 50 million, I get X amount from it. Now what they would have done then is went to Man United and said, "Listen, we want 80 million or whatever they pay for him." Well, you know, Man United would be saying, "We will pay 80 million, but Juve would have been saying, "But out that 80 million, we owe 20 million to the agent." So that has to come from the club. So Pogba's deal was actually 100 million,
yeah,
because it was 80 million for them, and then he had to give the agent 20 million.
Do you understand though why fans are pissed off and they go like, "Fucking these agents are killing the game" and all that?
Yeah, but there's 1 or 2 agents in the whole world that are doing things like that. That deal's being, you know, magnified, and you know it's out there. Everyone's looking at that deal. But that's probably like one, and it's probably only ever happened once.
You know, when you look at agents' fees for the Prem and stuff, it's fucking astronomical, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think Liverpool with the most, weren't they?
No idea.
I think Liverpool with the highest.
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Is there a time when you're because I mean you can't help but laugh, I think, at the sums of money.
Of course, mate. Football agent fees. So 2019. So this was so Liverpool paid agents 43.8. Jesus Christ. Liverpool paid agents 43.8 million in last year, 17 more than next rival. So Chelsea spent 26.8 million, and Man City spent 24.1 million. Right, Liverpool paid agents 43.8 million in the last year, 17 million more than next rival. That's a lot of money, that, isn't it?
I think that's where fans don't get a shit on with it when you think of, especially the lower league clubs now. I mean, you see like the state of football's in, and listen, this is not me knocking you at all. Fucking fair play, it's a great fucking business to be in. But is there a time when, I don't know, maybe you choose not to represent a player, but is there a time when you've got a player and you're looking at how much you're going to make from a deal and you're like, fucking hell, this is fucking great then. You may be looking at the player thinking, and no disrespect to that Tadic, and I got your first deal going, but you're looking at him in the Prem a few weeks later and you're going, fucking hell, the money I made off him there. There's got to be.
But on the flip side to that, so if you look at the deals I've done recently in the window, so if you're on my page, you can see the deals I've done. I didn't get paid out of all of them. There's some of them I've done for nothing, because I want the lads to get there and have the opportunity to play. With everything that's going on with COVID and money and finances, I didn't want the deal to fall down on me. So I don't know how many deals I've done. Probably 7-8 deals, which is a good number considering, like, you know, football's not the same at the minute. But probably probably 2 or 3 of them we didn't earn no money out of.
Really,
Yeah, so I mean, you know, we took a couple of lads on loan. You can get paid a fee for doing a loan deal. We never made money on some of them. There's a couple of others that we never made money on. We probably could have done, but that would have been me. You know, imagine with everything that's going on in football, I find a player at a club, the club want the player, and the deal falls down on me because I'm asking for whatever number during all this. I wouldn't do that. So the deals we've done is that some of them never got paid. So to answer like to what you've just said there, sometimes you do get a little bit lucky or, you know, hard work or whatever. Or you get the odd player that just turns out to be, you know, a superstar or a top player, makes you a lot of money. But there's a lot of agents, and even me, there's players that I've got that don't make me money. Doesn't mean they're not good players. They might be young players. They might be players who've had to step down in a career to go back up. So it's not all about like coming in, do a deal, make some money.
I guess, mate, just speaking, I've never spoke to a footy agent. I've just got that kind of football as my head on. I remember the first time I'd done a motivational gig, and obviously you love football, you love the sport. I love doing motivational speaking. And when I done my first corporate gig, and I was like, they fucking pay me that much for an hour? For me to stand up 45 minutes to pay me that much? And I was like laughing, thinking, I took a photo of the first check I ever got and was like, fucking could not believe someone was paying me this much money. I'm just imagining that times fucking a lot.
The thing with
that's me being young and naive, but fucking thinking, oh my god, you know, I've not done well. You obviously have done a lot of work, but
of course,
it's not like it is a lot of work, but on paper it looks like it's not. If you get me.
What do you mean in terms of the deals?
Yeah, as in, don't get me wrong. Some deals you've worked fucking hours and weeks and months on, no doubt. But I mean, sometimes if you've done a deal and it happens to be right place, right time, and you've through just people you've known, and it's been quite effortless.
Yeah,
and you're like,
and you get paid well.
Fucking hell.
But you're probably very low. So going back to like what I've done in Holland, that was a gamble. I was paying like a lot of money to fly over there and stay there, and probably like 6-8 months in. I didn't live there, but I was back and forth, and I was in Germany, and I was in France.
I guess,
sitting there having, you know, I remember times where like you go somewhere and you think, I've travelled to Holland, I've been up for 2 nights, I've had 5 or 6 meetings, I've paid for all the coffees and food, and you come away and think, it cost me 800 quid that.
Yeah.
800 quid, and I was thinking, I got nothing out of it apart from my phone number. Now that phone number in the end has been, you know, been worth all the money I've spent. But the times where like going back to like spending time in Dubai, I spent an absolute fortune when I was over there, because I thought if I keep going here, I'm gonna get lucky and get one of these mega deals where you're talking like, I know an agent who made probably £10 million out of a deal for a player. He's actually a friend of mine, so I won't go into too much of it, but he made £10 million in Dubai out of a deal for a player, high profile player. He didn't actually even have the player. He just got hold of the player when he was sort of coming to his end of his career, and he was a superstar. It took him to Dubai, but I spent probably a lot of money in Dubai trying to like get, you know, a
lot of like greasing. When you say a lot of like, is it greasing palms and, you know,
no, I mean
playing up to the kind of like you mentioned before, what you enticed you into it. If I'm a footballer and you come up to me in my fucking Astra and go, right hand, come in mate, I'll be your footy agent, and Tom turns up in a fucking Lamborghini, I'm going with Tom. Do you know what I mean? Is there that kind of is there that world where, you know, you've got to look the part, you've got to do this, you've got to, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you're having. It depends what play you're going for. So the position I'm in now, even though I'm youngish in the agency, I'm still youngish in the agency world. I'm at a position now where I'll only sign players if I actually genuinely like the player or the family. God, listen, there's players that I've turned down. There's players that I've said, listen, you can terminate your contract if it didn't feel it was right for me, or I couldn't agree with the family. But the problem with agents get vilified, and sometimes rightly so, because some of the things they do and some of the things that get highlighted are scary, what they do with young players certainly. But there's a lot of agents that do things the right way, and there's a lot of like, you know, stuff like, so there's things that I do where like people did never. So you were talking about that deal was a nice deal. That was like, that's a one-off, even though I've done like probably hundreds of deals. I mean, like literally hundreds of deals from like the age of players at 16 to, you know, whatever, top level Premier League. I was in the right place, right time. Everything would come together. I knew the sporting director, it was my ex-England manager. playing over other agents. One of my mates in football knew them. It was all like that was perfect. But there's people don't see the other side of it, where things I've dealt with as an agent. I've dealt with, like, you know, I had a young player who found his mum dead in the house. So literally went out the shop, come back, and his mum was on the floor dead of a brain tumour. So literally, like, come home, thought she was healthy, had no issues, and she had a blood clot on the brain, and she was dead by the time he come back. Player didn't have his dad, didn't live with his dad, didn't really speak to his dad, was up in, got to be careful what I say, up in the Midlands, but was from Bristol. And I had to look after everything, the funeral, pay for everything, be there for him, make sure that someone in my office was constantly with him, because he was like, you know, he was a mummy's boy, but lost his mum, and it was like, not only losing his mum, it was like finding his mum on the floor in his apartment. So we had to, like, move apartments. It was only, like, probably 3 years ago. So there's things like that where I've dealt with.
That's going above and beyond that, you know.
But that's what it is, and it's not like, listen, I don't know what every agent does. I'm different. I do things because I genuinely care about my players, because I've been there, and I felt like the aftercare at Everton was fucking shocking to me. I got a call off one person at Everton, how you doing, mate? Even when he heard about my heart conditions, things like that, no one called me. I spent 10 years of my life at this club, sacrificed my childhood, you know. When I say, you literally do sacrifice your child, you can't do it. Like, it's even worse now, they're like little robots. You can't, you know, drink water, don't have a coffee, don't have a Coke, eat that. You're in 4 nights a week, play on a Saturday, they tell you what school to go to. So these kids are sacrificing all this.
Yeah.
And a lot of them get told at 16 that you're not good enough. And the club don't do anything about it. The club might go, do you know what, we've set you up with the trial at Crew, good luck, just let me know how you get on. That's it.
Yeah,
crazy.
I'd love that if I was 16 to have an agent like yourself, and like, even more so now, like, even like what not to put on social media, or, you know, stupid things like that. I mean, I imagine that probably comes up fucking too many times than you need.
There's been some belters, isn't it? Did you see the one? Who was it? Who wasn't his agent? He's had a shit game in his agent. It'd be funny if this was you.
If it's me, just cut that. Part 2 next week.
The agent texted him and said, like, just tweet this, like,
and he's copied
copied that bit.
Brain dead. Social media is a big thing. Listen, I can't imagine what it would have been like when I played, because it's scary for players now, because there's that much temptation, and they're going to have to. But they're told by the clubs not to go on it, but then they're told if they're sponsored by Nike, Adidas, Puma, Under Armour, they're told to, you know, push things out, because they're not giving you boots and you just wear them on a Saturday in front of 10 people. They're more bothered about, you've got 10,000 followers, they're all probably the ages, you know, 10 to 20. You're not going to get, like, older fellas following young footballers up. So you want to try and capture, like, that market. Wants to try and, you know, they want to try and get as many people looking at your page, your story, seeing them boots, so hopefully young kids go out and buy them.
Even, you look at Liverpool, like, they've got their own YouTube channel. I think it's the best, like, the most viewed YouTube channel, I think, in the Premier League. It's, you know, so they are pushing it out there, aren't they? But then at the same time, don't want you to.
They've got to be careful. And the problem with players that, like, I had a player in the last season who he put a picture up. He had a water. Someone else had the water, and then his mate, that, like, the third picture was a mate with a corona. So it was like on a Thursday again, so his mates put it up, weren't even him, so he's put it up on his page. So I've quickly rang him and said, you need to get that down, so your mate had delete it. He said, no, I'm alright, I'm on the water. And he's genuinely, like, he's teetotal anyway. He said, I don't know, but your mate there's on a corona, you're obviously not in the fucking, you know, you're somewhere where you can buy a drink 2 days before a game, take it down.
It's not worth the hassle.
No, but they forget that if I can see it, there's every chance Liverpool can see it, because if it's not it won't be the manager, but there'll be someone in that building that's constantly monitoring what's going on with these. And I mean, like, constantly monitoring what you do, who you follow. And that's why if you see, like, going back to Jadon Sancho, if Jadon Sancho followed Man United, it'd be found out within 1 second. So all of a sudden it's breaking news, Jadon's follower, it must be signed for Man United. That's how, like, because people are watching what you do.
It's
people
scary, some of these fan accounts, how much they're onto everything.
Well, I done the deal I showed, so, you know, I done a big deal last summer, and the amount of people in my inbox were talking, like, just like everyone just, you know, just sending me all kinds of, like, screenshots. I was at the club with the player. It's like, mad fans from like China, and I must have I went from like, you know, you get your message on social media, on Instagram or whatever it is. You have like the ones that obviously
and then requests.
And then the requests were like, it's just, I think it just had like 1,000 plus because it ran out to like how many messages were in there. And I looked and I thought, who are these? And it was like, get him to this club, when's he signing, what's going on? I was like,
mate, you know what? I'm a massive Red, fucking love it. I would never ever fucking message someone and go, please fucking sign fucking Ronaldo.
It's ridiculous, but no. So I mean, going onto this, did you get? I think they get. Probably no, they probably don't, because I know some terrible agents. I know some agents that have ruined players' careers.
Is there a big sports? Is it AIG? Is it AI? No,
so the biggest ones are there's WMG, which is the Wasserman Group, which is basically mainly an American company who have all the basketball players and NBA players, but they have a lot of players in England as well. So it's like a massive agency. There's a company called Stella who've been going forever. There's loads. The thing is, because anyone can become an agent. Going back to when I got my license and spent over 12 months studying to become an agent. So like, it's mad. It's like giving someone, it's like you know. So if you've got lawyers who've trained for like years and studied and know the ins and outs, doctors and all these people, and people who train and know the industry, and then all of a sudden it's like them saying, you know what, forget all that, just go online, register. £500 and you've got the same qualification as me. So all the work I done, and I mean literally because you can just go online and register as an agent. As long as you pass a CRB check, you're good to go. And literally you could be managing the next up and coming.
But is that, obviously that's within football, but say like within golf, I wonder if there's the same sort of like situation where, or like any like you think literally I suppose any sport has to have an agent, really, isn't it? Tennis, fucking everything.
What happens with football? Everyone talks about like he's on 200 grand a week and his agent's getting 5% of that. But if you look at like all the top athletes in tennis, Formula 1, golf,
it'll all be the same.
But they get paid a lot more money than footballers. But they get like £10 million a tournament for entering. Or you look at Federer or these top athletes, they're getting like 50 million a year, which is like more than any footballer earns in the world. Yeah. So his agent's getting 10% of that maybe. But it's not highlighted because it's, I think...
They do get a bad rap, footballers.
I think footballers get a bad rap, agents get a bad rap, but I think with you look at Daniel Levy at Tottenham, during all this pandemic, he paid himself a £4 million bonus. But people are saying, well, agents are taking money out the game. Where's the Tottenham fans saying, well, hang on, our chief exec or whatever he is just took $4 million out the club as a bonus to go on top of his £2 million salary.
It's not the footballer's fault either that they're paying him that much money. Who the fuck is going to turn round and they go, right, Andy, going to give you 100 grand a week here? And I go, you know what, lad, I'm only worth 70. Just give me 70.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all we do. I say,
have you had it the other way round where you've had to say a player's come in and went, right, lad, go in there, negotiate me a deal, I want fucking X amount. And you're going, you've thought,
you're thinking you're not worth it.
You're not worth it.
Yeah, but I can't remember which example, but the problem with...
How do you let a player down without saying, listen, lad, you fucking not getting that?
Just got to tell them how it is. Like, I mean, it was difficult recently with selling players that the money's no longer there. You know, unless you, like, I've got Premier League players and Championship players, so they're probably ring-fenced a little bit because they're on good money and they're good players, so they'll always be sought after. But anyone under League One, the money's gone. It's literally overnight. I'd say it's probably down by 50%. So if you were on, say League One players were averaging 3 or 4 grand a week, that's gone by 50%.
So they've had to take a complete...
No, don't mean a pay cut, sorry. I mean anyone who's moving from club to club now, or a new contract.
Deals.
Right.
Yeah.
They're losing 50%. League Two is probably, what was last year, League Two, about £1,500-1,600 a week. Now it's like, you're averaging £700 a week if you're lucky. I know lads who are taking deals now in League Two on like £400 or £500 a week, 3-month contracts till January just to get playing because you know they can't stay out of football and there's no money anymore left.
That's mad, isn't it?
That's where I think the business comes from when you look at the top players. But that's obviously not a problem for agents. I mean the whole structure of football where the money seeping down to League One and League Two.
They don't do enough, but you've seen recently with Liverpool and Man United trying to take things globally. That's the problem. The Premier League's the Premier League. It's completely different. It's not like you look in a lot of countries. So La Liga and all that. That's one organisation from top to bottom. You know, Italy and Germany and all that. And then the Premier League's its own company.
Standalone
its own business. The Premier League's not like English football. You got the EFL, Championship, League 1, League 2. The Premier League's a different organisation. It's a completely different organisation. They don't give a shit what's going on with the Championship and League 1, League 2. They're just thinking, listen, we've had a bit of an impact. I heard Man United lost 100 million. It's probably nothing to Man United, but they're probably thinking, we're not going to give that down to League 1, League 2. It's not our
yeah,
they're
course,
saying, the FA, and there's other people that can pay that money, or they can get loans off the bank. They literally don't give a shit about what's going on.
Mate, where does it? Obviously, you will have dealt with loads of clubs, but where does it come into? Like when you get you seem to have at the minute that Michael Edwards, Liverpool, just seems to be finding these gems.
Yeah,
and then maybe you deal with other clubs and they're really hard to work with. Is that just down to personalities, just simply being good at your job and stuff, or sometimes you come across people and you're like, that was a hard bargain here, or
yeah, you do. I mean, Michael Edwards doing an unbelievable job just to get the players he's got in, and Liverpool's net spend to be what it is. He's just done a phenomenal job. What I like about it, what he does, it's hard in this industry to keep a secret and keep things under wraps. Transfers are normally bubbling away for months and months, and then it happens. With Liverpool, they sort of just, everything's really tight and they don't let it out, so they normally do a deal. You look at the way they done Thiago, that was already done.
Fabinho was a mad one,
but he was already, when he got leaked to the press, they were already done. So they're saying, potentially Thiago's coming to Liverpool. My mate in Liverpool done the deal. A good mate of mine broke with the whole deal. I knew the deal was done 10 days before it even got wind that Liverpool were interested in him.
Really?
It's all done. So that's what Liverpool do, and the business they're very shrewd at what they do. Michael Edwards obviously takes a lot of credit for it, but he's built a team where they have a transfer committee, so it's not the manager. The manager will say, listen, I need a pacey left winger because we could lose Mo Salah. What have you got? Klopp's not watching games. He's not out watching games or studying things on all the scouting platforms they have. They'll come back and say, after speaking to the owners, we've got a budget 50 million. These are the players we've got. These are the players we've watched. These are the players that he's got resale value. Thiago. He's here and now. If you're paying right now, you're not going to sell him. So you're basically paying 30 million for 4 good years. Or do you want this one? He's 21. Keep him for 4 years and then sell him to Italy or Spain or whatever and make money on him. So there's different ways of doing it. And then ultimately Klopp will sit around the table. I can imagine with Michael Edwards and the team, and they all go, okay, well, what do we all think? Klopp will have his opinion, but Klopp might say, well, if we can get him, I want him. He's my first choice. They might come back and say, the wages, Mbappe, we can pay the transfer fee, but we can't pay the wages. So all of a sudden that's ruled out. The lad who went to Chelsea, Werner.
Yeah.
So that was just too rich. Now Klopp would have said, well, no, I want it. I've just won the league and Champions League. I'm digging my heels, and he's probably thinking, I can't really put the club under pressure to buy this player with what's going on in the world, and do we actually need them when we can bring in Jota, who's 40 million less,
younger? He's similar age, I think, actually. 100
grand a week less, and then he's proved it in the Premier League. So they probably went, you know what, it's probably the best out of a situation we're in at the minute. Klopp will ultimately Klopp will sign the players. Some clubs do things differently. Some clubs, the manager will just say, I want that player, go and get him.
Yeah. So when you talk about obviously Thiago's deal was 10 days before anyone knew it, a complete whisper. Then do you, for example, you were at Chelsea today, weren't you, training ground? Do you even think about it in your head that someone might see me?
So I've done a deal today.
Yeah.
That won't get announced till 10 days.
So were you not worried?
A big one.
It's a decent one.
We'll be looking on Sky Sports.
But it's a young one, so it might not make the headlines.
Right. But you weren't worried about showing that you were at No.
The reason I've done it is because you look at my social media, it's all football, it's all business, not me partying or me, my lifestyle. It's all business, and because all my players follow me, and other players follow me, and other people in the game follow me.
Maybe we'll want to work with you then as well.
I've got sporting directors who follow me, and managers and people like that. So it just shows that you're out there.
You're out there doing.
And then I'm doing it because when I announce it next week, you see a picture on my page of the young lad signing. So I'm not doing it to say I'm having a cup of coffee at Chelsea. I'm doing it because it's the sort of start of, that's where the deal happened. So
I was only thinking in a case of because you didn't want things to get leaked, that I'm worried.
Yeah, so there's times where, so a lot of my business deadline day that you've seen on my page, none of that was there. I didn't put a picture in that place with that deal or that deal.
Because
this was all sensitive, and it was all going ahead, deadline day, so it was all live. So there's times where, so I've got a loan deal coming up next week, so I could put a picture of that training ground now, and then all of us, because I know the deal's done. So when I announce such a person signed for that club, oh yeah, I remember seeing on the story, he was at Chelsea that day. These are all the things that you see.
Yeah, of course.
But if I could, so it's like I said, Thiago, I knew that if I could bet, I could have said, listen, I'll put everything I've got on Thiago joining Liverpool, whatever the odds are, because I knew it was done. Because I knew, not like I knew the paperwork was completed and nothing, medical was done, paperwork was done, pictures were done. So all the pictures that he took, that was like, everyone thinks he's at Melwood. He wasn't, that was a week ago, he was probably on a beach.
How did they sneak him in? Obviously private jet, and then sneak him into Liverpool, and then like, surely someone must see him.
No, so you see me on the private jet the other day, didn't you?
Yeah.
So I can tell you what happened with that, because the deal, I pulled the deal. So FC Bruges, Belgium club, big club, Champions League club, put on a private jet for me and the player. They picked us up in Farnborough Airport, which is a private jet airport.
Down south, really
so
far down south.
It's not going to Heathrow or Gatwick where you're sitting there with the player and the queue. You go, mate, what club are you joining? So obviously it was weird because even with COVID, I just had my passport, my bag, that was it. In and out on a day. So it was literally like, come in, private, picked us up. His mum was just the first time. Flew over there, land at Belgium airport out there. Literally just didn't even go through. Had my bag on, didn't check my bag. Car come, picked us up.
By the aeroplane?
This is during COVID as well, so no one's actually doing anything. Literally just, plane landed. The two gates opened where like the vans and that get in. So there's where you go in, sort of like check in, get your bags. I had my bags anyway because it was on the plane. Just car come in, picked us up, took us to the club, looked round. That was what it was like. So like,
it's mad though, isn't
and
it?
then so we're looking around the ground, and the deal fell through. I can tell you about the deal. We pulled the deal anyway because we got something else lined up, but no one would have knew apart from me. But don't forget, I'm putting that story up after all this.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it live because if I put a picture up with the player, and the player. So let me show you the picture of the player. I think the player's actually got. The lads rang me at Bruges and said, listen, we just spent £25,000 on a private jet for you and the player and his mum, put you up in the best hotels, and the player didn't sign for us, but the player's got the picture of him and his mum on a private jet. So I thought about rubbing it in. I went, so what's this the profile?
Fucking hell, that's the thing you don't even think about, do you?
I thought it's the lad on his profile. It's about his mum. Yeah, so his mum had their his mum was like,
I'd get the photo, of course.
Yeah, look.
First time on a fucking private.
That's his mum. But he didn't even sign. So, but the club had his number. And like must have tried to WhatsApp him and seen a picture of like the player on the private jet with his mum, and he's fucked them off. So ringing me, said, we just paid 25 grand.
Is that as funny as that is though? Does that maybe, if you've got to be careful, that doesn't dampen your relationships for future deals and stuff?
Yeah, but they're not happy with me. If I rang them now, they probably keep me on side. They still want the player, but they're not happy. Well, the problem with that deal again, any other agent would have done that deal. There was that much money in it for the player. I was in a position where he's sought after, and he would like not name your price, but the numbers were going to get quite healthy, and he ever wanted them to. But when I met the player, his dad flew in. Dad lives in Madrid, and mum London. When we sat there and went through everything, I kept looking at the player, and the player was unhappy. Kid's from London. I was getting told he's going to move to Belgium. He's 21. Probably one of the best players in the Championship, if not the best player. So he knows that the big clubs in England are going to come from him, and they're still around him now, and that's why they want to do what they're doing with Jadon Sancho. They want to get him abroad, get him in the Champions League playing, and then sell him back to England for big money.
Yeah.
When I spoke to the player, we were in a restaurant, we'd done all of everything, we'd agreed everything, parked it all up, and I said, listen, give us the night to think about it, player just wants a bit of time. They were like, no, listen, we need him in tomorrow, medical's booked. I said, no, listen, we need time. It's a big decision for the player. When I sat with the player, he was like, what do you think? And I said, it's not important what I think, what do you think? I'm not living in Belgium. Are you all happy with your mum and your family, and you might not want to go to Belgium?
Would the parents move out, or they'd stay in the...
Parents were going to go with him.
Right, yeah.
But still, he's got I think he's got a girlfriend, he's got his friends, he's comfortable, he's got a nice life in London. And he was asking me, and I said, it's important what you do. I could have said, listen, you've got to do it. Trust me on this one, you've got to do it. Definitely do that. I'll get you back to England in 6 months. And I might be thinking, look, my agent feels great here.
Yeah.
But I thought, it's not fair. Because if I go home And I ring him when he's in Belgium. He's like, listen, you know what? I'm just lonely out here. I've been to Australia on my own, so I know what it's like to not have family around you, and it's difficult. And Australia's no language barrier, and it's as British as you can get.
Tough,
it's not tough being young away.
The flip side to that, though, what's it like when, for example, look at the Sanchez deal to United? He done an article recently saying that, you know, after the first day's training, he wants to rip up his contract. He didn't want to be there. Now he's on 400 grand a week, if you believe what you read in the papers. So he's got his agent, went, get me 400 grand a week deal. He's there, doesn't like it there, and goes, oh, fucking hell. Is there times when you know, players push for something and you went, and he kind of chased the money a bit, and you're like, I don't know whether this is for you, and a few months down the line maybe they're not playing, or but you're like, well, you fucking said you wanted the money, you wanted the...
Yeah, it happens. I mean, I'd always just be honest with the player, whether it's good or bad. You know, I'm in a position now where I'm not... Certain deals are not going to change my life. So, I mean, if I want to still be doing this in 10, 15 years, I don't know what the industry's going to look like, but I still want to do it. I still enjoy it. I still get excited when I do a deal. And it's for the player. You see on my Instagram, the 2 deals I done this summer, I probably made 2 teenagers millionaires. But it's not just that. This young lad just bought his mum a house in Crosby. They lived in a small, like, terraced house in Liverpool and come from nothing. He's a millionaire. He's set for life. Quality, you know, and it's like winning the lottery. And that's probably been done. I've probably done that 20 times where I've changed someone's life where they never have to worry about money. So it's like, it's one thing that I want to do as a player. That's what hurt me a lot, that I couldn't change my mum and dad's life. Not that they wanted anything, they didn't want anything, and they probably wouldn't change it in any way. But that's what I want to do, is try and change their life and buy their house. And Dad's still working now. Dad's a wagon driver, doesn't moan about, just gets up, cracks on, old school. But it would have been nice to say to him, do you know what, retire a little bit early. Yeah, you know what I mean? And, you know, just don't worry about that mortgage, it's done. So these are things that, when I see players now,
of course,
sign these deals, and all my players are good lads, they're good people. I purposely pick good people. There's certain players that, like I said before, I fucked off and just said, I'm not dealing with you. Don't care if you're going to be the best player in the world. I haven't got the time for headaches off you, or you to speak to me like that, or your family to speak to me. That's another thing. Is
there a bit where you have to set out a kind of contract with a player and be like, look, I'm here to get you the best deal and the best money and the best club and look after your interests, but I'm not here to fucking babysit you. I'm not here to fucking... I've heard stories about fucking, like, players fucking, like, you know, breaking down on the fucking motorway and they're ringing their agent and fucking on the motorway.
I swear to God, what happened was it 2 weeks ago, in bed, me missus, phone's going, pick the phone up, young kid again, it's the kid at Leeds, just something to Leeds, Joe, if he listens to this, he'll laugh, called Joe Geldart, boss little player, plays for England, superstar in the making. He's rings me, goes, Steelers, I'm being pulled on the M62, got no insurance. It's like about 11 o'clock at night, I'm running around the house, my missus looking at me going, what the fuck are you on the phone to? Type of thing, you know what I mean? One sec, what's happened? So, yeah, police are there, police gets on the phone, listen, we're trying to get the insurance for this vehicle, we're going to seize it, and he's going to get 6 points. So I said, Joe, I actually said, I knew he would, but I was half asleep going, you haven't got insurance, you have got insurance with the guy we work with. So I put him in touch with the guy who does all the footballs and insurance. So only for me ringing him, he had his phone on. If this was like, you know, AXA car insurance, you wouldn't get them on the phone at 11 o'clock at night. But it was that guy who does them all for the players. So I rang Joe, has he got the insurance? Yeah, no problem. He sent me it over. So I've forwarded the player. He's so busy and going, yeah, mate, I'm insured. So like, ring him back, Joe, you're all right. Bring me in the car if you're okay. Make sure you're getting back. It's like 11:30 on a Friday night. I said,
that's funny, that.
That's so, what you were just going to say, did you actually do that? Do all that. But the thing with it, there's a difference between like wiping the players' arses and being there and supporting them. So there's a difference, like, there's that there, or him in general. Players that I've got in general, they're not, I don't have to, like, I'll be honest with them about everything. I'll support them and not just on the deal. So people think that agents just turn up once a year and do a deal and make a couple of quid. And then piss off and then get another call.
How often would you speak to a player throughout the season? Most days, yeah.
Most days. I'll be in, so I had...
I'm guessing if you're managing loads, you can't do that, surely.
No, but I don't manage that. I purposely, I've got my stable of players and I'm happy with them. Now and again, I might lose one because the indices cutthroat. People always move for different reasons. But mainly, I'm happy with what I've got. My client list, I'm really happy with. So like, but I speak to them all the time. So I had 3 players playing last night, so all championship level. I spoke to every one of them this morning about the game. So I was watching one of the games on my iPad and the other one on the telly. But I've spoke to all 3 of them this morning. Thought you done well. Thought you done that. What did the manager say? Everything all right? What's next? Grab a coffee next week type of thing. So I try and speak to them nearly every day. Some of them you can't. Some of it's just a little text. Like, I'll put my phone on the minute. I'll probably have, by the time we finish, I'll show you, probably be 7 or 8 players text over something. Could be anything. Could be like, one of them, lad I've got at Middlesbrough today's rang me saying he wants to buy a house. So, helping him with that. Boot deals, payments are due now, so they're ringing me about the play. No, where's my payments and my boot deals? Don't do the money in. It can vary, so many variables in the industry.
That, isn't it?
And it can go from like anything. Yeah, I mean, like literally, like I said before about dealing with a family, a player's mum passing away. So it's not only that, that's like the aftercare. I've got to look after him. I've had players who rang me saying, of course I won't mention his name, that his dad rang me, lives miles away, his dad from where the player lives, can't get hold of my son, but I won't mention his name, try and get hold of him. I drove his house in Cheshire and couldn't get hold of him, and then end up getting hold of him, and he said, I've had enough, I've just had enough football. And the kid's like, gotta be careful, early 20s, playing in the Premier League, earning top money, good looking kid, you think he's got the world, and saying I've had enough. I was like, what do you mean I've had enough? I've had enough. I just want to fucking...
Sad
I was like, what? Honestly. Sat there with me miss like, I said, what do we do? It's like, you have to go and see him. Go and see him. So what, you deal with all this, but as you say, you probably, or the normal football people, think, fucking agents again, upset.
I guess though, mate, that you're obviously not like that, though, do you know what I mean? But there probably is some who are cutthroat and do look at it for the money, but obviously from the stories you said, then obviously you're not.
It must be hard as well dealing with, like you mentioned that player then, and just dealing because to be fair, we all sit here and go, yeah, all these money flashcards and things like that, but it's so fucking cutthroat. There's so much pressure. There's things wrote about you. You only have to look in the Instagram comments and you see just the most hateful things that people will ever write about you, and you look at like young Nico Williams at Liverpool.
Oh, he deleted Twitter, didn't he?
I used to look after Nico. I was his first agent, so I know him and the family really well. And then deleted his Twitter. He had a bad game, or didn't.
I think he was that bad.
Made a mistake or something like that. All of a sudden, he's had to come off social media because he's dealing with it all. It's mad.
It is,
and that's how But as you say, but from the outside, when you're a footballer, you got it's like any walk of life. How many billionaires are depressed and. Doesn't mean because you want money and you're a footballer.
Yeah, of course.
You've got loads of pressure that comes with it.
We talk about this all the time on the pod, mate. I fucking said when I walked the dog the other day, mate, I'm fucking dressed like a fucking scruff. I'm always in trackies. Fucking not interested in the car. Like, got a roof over my head, got my dog, take me little girl to school. Mate, I feel fucking dead happy, me,
That's the main thing. I mean, I've gone through a lot. Do you know what I mean? And I have moments where I think, fucking hell, do you know what I mean? I mean, I've been talking about private jets and all that before. It's bollocks, really, isn't it? I've still got taking the kids to school this morning, like everyone else, kids running around the house. I've still got everything's just still carnage my life. But it's just, as I say, people don't. It doesn't matter what you've got.
Yeah.
I mean, my brother, for instance, works for me. Now, he's the happiest lad in the world. If he worked anywhere, and he has worked in warehouses and done every job possible, he's the happiest lad in the world. And I mean, he doesn't want nothing. But the happiest, most positive, and I don't mean like some of the positive people now where they're going stupidly positive with all the quotes and different story. This one, leave that for part 2 or 3. But no, my brother's just the most positive fella ever.
That though, man.
But mate, because especially I imagine as a sportsman, it's and maybe because we're looking at this in the business sense now in terms of maybe finances and things like that, you think I've earned X last year, I want to be, I want to get to that level there, I want to, we've talked about this so many times, you earn 30k, you want 60k, you earn 60k, you want 120. Do you know what I mean? Do you ever do you go through that at all? Or
money wise, no. It's honestly not about the money. The money in any walk of life for me is getting to a place where you're comfortable. I've got a nice house, nice car. I live in the area I want to live in. I'm driving whatever I want to drive, type of thing. I've got an all right life. I can't go out and buy what I want. I'm not a multi-millionaire, but I'm just comfortable. And I want, my kids will get what they want.
Is the players though the way you deal with? For example, if they're on a good deal and they're I want this much, and you can almost see them being greedy, and you're lad, what do you need? What do you need that much more money for?
You know what? It's more the parents. if I'm being honest with you. Players are normally, the players I deal with, and I've dealt with hundreds of players, they're probably normally quite sensible players, believe it or not. It's the parents and the entourage and all the idiots in the who then think, you know, I'll take a little bit off my son, or, you know, out of your commission, what's in it for me? Lots of times I've heard that. So I'm like, I'm going to I represent your son. I've done wonders for him, but you want a little bit of my 5%. How's that work? And I've lost players on the back of dads and brothers and cousins being involved.
Paul Cheatham said something similar. You know, he's an accountant. He's an accountant for a lot of he's had people say to the accountants, right, so what am I getting?
Well, parents. It's like if you sell a house and you go to the estate agent, I want to cut your commission. Yeah. And they say, why? Well, it's my house.
Yeah. That's exactly what and I go, but it happens, and that's why, and agents, you know, when I was a young, you know, a lot of agents wants to sign me, and were saying to me from mum and dad, listen, we'll give you a couple of quid and we'll do that, and we'll, you know, make life a little bit easy for you. My mum and dad never do anything like that, of course. It was whatever was good for me, they were happy with. Yeah. But there's parents now who are like, they think it's the golden ticket if their son makes it, you know, they're all of a sudden, if their life's easy, it stops, you don't have to wait.
What's the strangest request you've had? Can you put like strange requests in contracts or something?
You can do what you want, really. Yeah, really? I mean,
come on, give me like a mad one. Don't have to mention the name.
No, you can have anything from
like goal bonuses and things like that. That's just the norm.
Goal bonuses standard, not standard, because it's funny because like even you know, you're saying to the club like, listen, I've done a deal in the summer where you go like, you get like 10 grand every 5 goals you scored, and a grand a goal or something like that. And I said to the chairman, listen, happy with that, but he wants this, that and the other, so he's a centre forward. So the chairman's go, well, we're paying him to score goals. That's what we're buying him. It's not like you're asking him to do something completely different, but buying him. Yeah. He plays as centre forward, his job's to score goals. You're asking for more money for something that we've asked him to do, type of thing. It's just like, what the fuck are we doing? Do you know what I mean? It's your job, score the goal. I'm asking you to fucking save a penalty.
What do you do that in that situation?
So we sort of,
it's a good argument.
You have to sort of like, you know, back it up somehow. Yeah, but you know, if he scores 10 goals, I know you brought him into that, but 10 goals, you might, you know, that might get you in the playoffs, that might get you promotion, that might keep you out of relegation. You sort of got to just like, you just got to get round it small.
It's mad, that, isn't it? I wonder, did they pay tax on? You have to pay tax on bonuses, don't you?
Yeah. Footballers get hammered. People forget about that. You know, you talk about like,
do you know what?
Hammered.
Yeah, 50%.
Imagine you're. I mean, I'm not feeling bad for anyone here because we all get shafted whether we like it or not. But if you're earning 100 grand a week and you get your paycheck, 50, is that 50 or 45?
50 by the time.
Yeah,
national
50.
Insurance and everything comes off it. Yeah.
So Donald Trump isn't paying fucking 50% tax.
Yeah. Not paying.
You've gone from earning 100k to 50. Like that's just fucking wiped out like that.
Sometimes like you've got to explain that to families. You've got to say, because some of the families think, say in Europe, when you do any deal in Europe, they say, listen, what am I getting net? So basically, what comes in my account every week? Yeah, that's how they work abroad. There's only here we talk like, you know, gross with £1,000 a week, you're gonna get 500. Over abroad, they're not interested in all that. They don't get it because their tax code's different. When I was in Belgium recently doing that deal, the tax in Belgium was like 15%. So the players' deal was all of a sudden, it weren't much different from what we were getting here, the offers, but over there, because the tax was so little, so less. It was basically probably like another 40% on top of this because the tax was so little over in Belgium, and that's what they do. But I say people talk about footballers and this, but they're giving the taxman 50%. So you're talking about Sanchez before and these people, they're giving 200 grand a week. The taxman, so it's painful. I mean, on one hand you're like, but then you think, fucking hell, the taxman's actually killed me. Yeah.
Mate, can we just quickly fly through some questions?
Because I know I could talk to you, and I'm conscious
we've already done 3 hours 10 minutes.
We have.
Yeah. Do you need to?
My phone's blown.
Do you need to go?
No, you're okay.
There's just.
I make no apologies for anyone listening as well, mate. I could fucking speak to you all day.
So someone's asked again. These might be stupid questions. They're not. But do newspapers make up transfer rumours to increase the financial stock of players?
Yeah,
they do.
And agents use newspapers. Helps as well.
I've heard I speak to like lads that own the game, and they've said the clubs will put out little rumours just to get things going.
Yeah, you've got to be careful because if you make something up that's obvious, the club are going to say, well, we know that's your agent. And most of the times, even players have said to me, well, can't you leak something out that, you know, Man United are in for me and do that, and all of a sudden my club want me more. I'm like, no, don't, because they're going to know probably the newspaper that I'm speaking to and go, you put that article in? I was like, agent rang me yesterday. Oh, that's good, isn't it? So it doesn't, it doesn't work like that. Now and again, you can use them to say...
For example, like the Brewster thing for Liverpool, like, do you reckon Liverpool are putting stuff out as if to say, like...
Yeah, the clubs use it to their advantage. It depends what you want to do. So I know that a deal that I done in the summer, all the details of the deal were in the public domain within like an hour. And the reason they done it is because they wanted a bit of an auction for the player. So we agreed a fee with another club. Now, the club that he was leaving, all of a sudden, it was in the press how much was agreed when he was going. So what they done, they put I think it was like £7 million fee had been agreed for the player. So the club that he was leaving put that in the paper. And what they wanted to do then is get a bit of an auction. Someone come and swoop in, or someone offer a bit more, or someone know that we're going to, we're selling them because we told everyone we accepted the deal. So the play, I don't use the media too much because I don't really, the players I've got, it doesn't really benefit what I do, but players always say, put that on the paper for me, generally, but it doesn't work like that. Or dads, can't you link him with fucking Barca? Yeah, but it doesn't work like that, no.
I think we've kind of covered this, we kind of haven't, but is players' welfare the biggest conflict of interest with clubs? Heard with Kev Ellison, who we've obviously had on the podcast, how he liked others have struggled mentally. Whose responsibility does that fall to help? So, I mean,
it's the clubs. I said it before, the aftercare for me was disgraceful, to be honest, and it hasn't got any better. The second you leave that door, everything you've done before that, they've forgotten about. All they wanted, if you could go from Everton or Liverpool, getting released, a sign of a Crew or Wigan on a Monday, they've made up with that because you're done then. You don't have to speak to you again. And they're not interested in what you do after that. And if you're out of football for months and months, whether it's you're struggling financially or with depression, or like there's nothing there for them. Yeah, it's tough. And I know Kev really well. I speak to Kev all the time, and I know he's been through a little, hard time himself. And
I remember speaking to Jay in the gym. He said, "I got asked to do this walk around the pitch with something at Anfield." I don't know if I've probably told this story before on the pod, but they rang me up somewhere at Anfield because I've done a bit of work with the club, and they said, "Can you walk around the pitch with this trophy or something?" It was like, I think they were trying to bring some tournament to Liverpool, and I was like, "Oh, what, just before the game?" They said, yeah, just 20 minutes before the game you're going to walk around the pitch. I said, "Great, and then for the game, is there a ticket or something?" He went, "Oh no, you can just walk around the pitch and then you got to leave." I was like, so I've normally be in the pub with my mates, but you want me to fuck my mates off in the pub, come to Anfield, walk around the pitch for fucking 10 minutes before kick-off, and then fuck off again back to the pub and miss half the game? So you got fucking no chance. So speaking to Jay, and I told Jay, and I was like, "Fucking cheeky bastards, aren't they?" And he went, "Lad, I fucking won the Champions League with them, I don't get fuck all." And it's like, once you've gone,
that's it,
you're
you're
fucking gone. They're not asked.
But you can go back to Melwood and stuff like that.
No, you can, but you're not the way you think.
He's not. I think people maybe look at him and Gerrard and go, they won't be able to just bounce back in as if like.
Honestly, it's not like that. I mean, you might have done if it was like, I don't know, a Brendan Rodgers who they both played under, and it might be a bit more relaxed, but Klopp will have that club on lockdown. He won't want people like that just turning up. And also it's not to Klopp, because Klopp's who he is, but they're still a threat, aren't they, these people? I know probably not Jamie because he's not in the matter, but Gerrard hovering around, if Klopp all of a sudden goes on a bad run for 6, 7, 8 months, and then Gerrard wins the league and Rangers.
Yeah, media.
Not saying it's like stuff. Klopp's untouchable at the minute before he's done, but
most of these we've answered, to be fair.
Mate, I've not only the agent stuff, the personal stuff, mate. It was mate, your stories are fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's quality.
What was that? 3 hours?
With 3 hours 15, yeah, flies by, doesn't it?
It's a bit quick hour.
Someone's just said any job's going.
That's the thing. Everyone wants a job. Everyone wants it because they think the things we talk about there, like private jets and all that. It's like small little elements of what goes on, and you forget about all like the games I have to go to. On a Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sundays. I'm still out there. How
long would you say on average a deal takes the broker?
Depends. On deadline day, I done 3. I done 1 in 10 minutes, and a 10-minute delay was also one thing for the player was accommodation money paid. So when he moved the club, I'd agreed after within 10 minutes on the phone and then do nothing in it for me. I said, listen, I don't need the money, just get the deal done. Just guarantee the lad accommodation, because he's travelling for 3 hours and he's not paying for his own accommodation in the club he went to. He signed from Wolves to Burton. I just said, make sure he's got accommodation. He's not paying for it. That was all I asked for. There's deals now what I've been working on for 8 months. And I'm still a bit of a standoff at the club today. I was hoping to have a Zoom call this afternoon with the club.
Tense negotiations with chairmen and stuff.
No, they're never that. I mean, I never get tense anyway. I mean, I think everyone thinks when you go to negotiate with these chairmen, and I've dealt with everyone, top dogs, Man United, Liverpool, Everton, all the main people. It doesn't really get like, because if you go in all guns blazing, the only things you're going to do, you're going to get the back up, and at the end of the day, they control the situation. Really, you've just got to sort of like, get it round this way. I normally come in like quite calm and talk and having a general chit chat, and then
it's like if you come in with the big guns, like thinking you're.
It's not like me saying, listen, my player wants $100,000 a week, take it or leave it. Because if he goes, well, leave it, then he go, all right, thanks, and then if he goes, so I'd rather say, how do we get to $100,000 a week? Because my player's like, that's where we're at, and the market tells us he's a $100,000 a week player. He might say, I think people go, yeah, but what you do, you go in high and they go in low, and then you meet halfway. That might be like, if you bring a painter in here to paint this office, you might say, I'm £100 a day. You might say, I'm thinking 50. You might go, meets the 75, then shake hands. But it's like me going and saying, what are you thinking? He goes, $10,000 a week, and I go, I'm thinking 100. Why don't we meet in the middle of 50? So I say, fuck's that weird? So it doesn't. But it's like, I don't know. I'm good at negotiating with the.
I'd be a horrendous negotiator because I couldn't keep a straight face by going. My player wants $200,000 a week.
Can we just add another 10? So I'm thinking $210,000 a week. And think, what's going on?
But no. I'll have to speak to you about this in general. I got fucked over once. When I first started doing my speaking, and you can make decent money in the corporate speaking world. And I was on a conference call with the Royal Bank of Scotland. And he got me on there. You could tell he was a slick fucking manager, and he just threw it on my toes in front of everyone. Was like, "So go on in, Andy. How much you gonna cost me then?" And I was like, and I just fucking bottled and like pretty much like half my price. And he was like, fucking oh god, you're pushing it a bit there, aren't you? And just made me feel like it's fucking horrible.
But that's why people say, why do you need an agent? You can't negotiate yourself.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's so awkward.
You can't do it because you're either too emotionally attached to it, you're deluded, you're asking for things that you're not worth, or if I'm arguing with the club, undersell yourself, or we end up falling out over the deal, and then you're the manager or the sporting director or the chairman, and then think, all he talked about was money. So he didn't talk about the club once, it was just the money. So if you've got an agent in there, that's his job. He doesn't have to talk about like what style of play, or I'm here to get the best job, the best deal for my clients, and like that's why you're there. And if I'm, as you said before, if you're buying a house, I go to an estate agent, or I don't knock on the fella's door and say, listen, I'm thinking about like buying this house. What would you take for it? I use people who know what to do.
And it's the talk within the club with players, and they'll go like, oh, fucking so and so's on. He'll ring you up and go, hey, fucking so and so's on this much. Why am I only on this?
Yeah, but it's never changed. So even when I played before, everyone just adds an extra 0 on, and no one's ever going to no one's ever going to say that they're on less than what they're on. No one's ever going to say what they're actually on. It's always going to be a little bit. Always. I always used to play, forget that. And half the time I know anyway what they're on. It's not it's like Man United and players there. I know, you roughly know what people are. And don't forget, I know nearly every agent, so I can speak to them and say, do me a favour, what are we thinking here at Man United or Liverpool? And he's going to say, well, I got this. Okay, well, my lad plays for England, so I'm thinking a little bit more here. So you
can kind of
and then all of a sudden your players do ring. But I've got $5,000 a week. I know he's on 7, and he got 100, and I'm like, he never. Don't listen to me. I know for a fact he never got on that, and very rarely will a player like show another player what they're on.
I was going to ask that because any other workplace, any other workplace, you'd not go, Sandra in accounts, how much are you being paid? Like you fucking never ask, would you?
No, you can't. But in football, and don't forget, no one knows what any of the players are on. So you mentioned players before.
It's
not public knowledge. It's not. They're not on the accounts. They're not with like anyone. So everyone's guessing. They're probably not far off with some of it. Like Pogba. Every time you look on a paper, you can go buy 5 newspapers, and Pogba's deals change 5 times what he's on. No one knows, and plus, players say to me like, I've a player say to me, listen, do you know what? I want $7,500 a week. That's it. Just get me $7,500 a week, and I'll do the deal. But I've gone into like the club on. But what about we do? So you do $5,000 a week, but we have $2,500 a week appearance and a goal bonus and healthy bonuses. So I say to the player, listen, you want your $7,500 a week, and have it. But that's the most you're going to earn that week. But if you take this deal, it's $5,000 a week basic, but you're getting $2,500 a week appearance money. You play twice a week. You're averaging a goal every other game. So all of a sudden, on a good week, you can probably earn like $5,000 a week more if you back yourself. And then you normally see what the players are. A player go, I back myself. I know I'm going to play. Fancy myself to score goals. So you get someone who just goes, you know what? Yeah, but I'm not guaranteed that. At least I know this is what I get every week. There's different ways of doing the deals, and you know, a lot of the top. And I say no one ever knows what they're on. And if they are on that, what's saying that they never got $100,000 signing on fee or bonuses or a house pay, house accommodation, or you know, if they hit, you know, if you start 10 games, your wages go up, or if you win the Champions League at Liverpool. So don't forget, Liverpool, as much as they won the Champions League. But all of a sudden, they've got to pay bonuses of like £50 million. Individual bonuses, them Champions League will be in the millions.
Well, even the staff at like Melwood and that will get bonuses, won't they?
Yeah, so as much as like, it's unbelievable, they probably lost money. Because the outgoings on the bonuses would be like...
That's mad though.
Like there'd be players where, to do a deal, you'll go like, to finalise the deal, you might even say like, so like Mo Salah's new deal might have it in it. We'll take that money, but we want a $5 million bonus if we win the Champions League. And Liverpool might go, do you know what? I'll back that because we win the Champions League. Everything's brilliant. Life's good. You know, but when it actually happens, and you got the trophy, and then you go, you know, what's our outgoing? $5 million for him. He got on $2 million. The old pro rata, every player gets, you know, split a £50 million pot. It's a lot of money. Yeah. And the Champions League does bring in money, but not the level that is.
Yeah.
There's loads of different ways of.
Is it, you know, when you've got a massive player, is it literally the clubs just throwing things at you like, look, we'll do your house for you, we'll do them that car, we'll do them.
Yeah. But like literally, deal. I was doing abroad the other week. Flies mum over, they can live. What about? He's got a sister. Sister can come here. What about the school? School's done.
Sister's friend.
Yeah, but they don't live with dad, but he needs to come. Dad can have an apartment and fucking, you know, in the city centre, keep him away from the family. So basically, the family are getting that, dad's getting that, sister's going to school. What's the player? Player wants that, car allowance, accommodation allowance, flights back and forth, use the private. It's just.
I know my sister used to work in a nursery in Formby, and the club used to pay for nursery fees.
It's crazy. But I say, I'm mentioning all this. The deals what I've done where I'm not sitting here saying I only do big deals. I've done deals like £200 a week recently for players, young players, and like arguing over £10 and £5, and you know, if he scores 10 goals, give him £500, and if he scores like, you know, if he plays 10 games, move his wage up to like £300 a week. So it's like, but again, it's different. Do you know what I mean? It's not all like, I say, there's different levels of dealings, and it's not all.
Yeah, it's not all what you're imagining.
It's not all. And I say people don't forget, like, I've been going to, like, I've sacrificed a lot with like my family and going to games, and my phone's never stops, and you know, Saturday, Sundays going to games.
Want to kill you with that phone.
I bet that's the thing. It's like, how available do you become? Because like I'm guilty of just having my phone, like, leave it on, and as soon as you hear that buzz, you just want to check it, don't you? Yeah. And like, you are very.
I'm like that. It's like when what's his name? Scano, Mark.
Yeah.
I love Mark. Mark's brilliant. I love the stuff he's doing. But he's saying about his phone, and he'll turn it off and get back to people, and I can't do that. He can probably do it in his business, or he's probably created, you know, his lifestyle to fit around that. I can't do it. If I literally turn my phone off for a day, I wouldn't even. Honestly, I could come back tomorrow and a player it'd be over. He'd either move clubs, fell out with the manager, sat on the motorway, fucking getting arrested for having no insurance. And I'd wake up in the morning going, but I'll say to my missus, she'll go like, what have you got on today? And I'll be like, not much, I haven't looked at my phone yet. Or I'll go like, I meant to have took a week off this week after the window, just to sort of like take a little bit of time off, and I've been working every day. But I've told her I'm off for the week, but it changes by the hour, and it's different meetings lead to different things.
There's us sitting here taking 3 hours of your
sorry, mate. Yes, 3.5 now.
Edit this. Right. No one's going to listen to this.
Mate, thank you so much. Honestly, it's been a pleasure. It really has. Thank you so much for giving your time up. And anything you want to plug, push?
No, I can't. Try to defend agents as best I could.
You've done a good job, mate. You've done a good job, mate. No doubt we'll have you on again, mate. I think I've found it really fascinating, mate, and your story as well of what you've overcome, mate, is brilliant to see you make a success of it. So
no, appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.